being so confused. You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop unfriend me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dad.
Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we?
Hey, Hogs Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Good evening, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. Welcome in the house. We have Michael, we have Olivia. Welcome you both.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Hi, Jim. That was all right. Doing pretty good, man. You sound. That mic is pretty cool.
It's amazing.
We have.
See, now I know I made it because you actually got me a good mic. Now it's like okay.
Yeah, it's nice, dude. It's what's funny is we've got 3 of the top mics that are used in podcasting. Yours is predominantly a gamer mic. A lot of gamers use this because it can be pretty much anywhere you want it to be. It's got a shock mount. It's kind of nice. This is like anyone on radio uses this, the RE20. This is a radio mic, and then Olivia has the song mic. That is Thriller was recorded on it. Fleetwood Mac recorded Landslide on the Shure SM7B. So you've got 3 very distinct mics doing 3 very distinct jobs. It's kind of cool. So I just figured a little bit of knowledge would. Okay. How's everyone doing? Olivia, what are you doing?
I'm getting all my windows setting up and saying hello to everyone and making my rounds.
All right. Michael, you are going to be out of town.
Yes, I'm leaving in the morning so I can go down to Florida, and as Matt says, so I can go get my ass kicked in some hockey, and we'll see how it goes. Some hacky. Colorado
Avalanche had a better game.
Much better.
They're going to get it figured out. They got some depth scoring. It's amazing. A lot of the teams that were predicted to win the cup are struggling. And I think, listen, this has been some of the shortest rest. What's that?
I mean, are we like 15 games in? It's like, well, yeah, everyone's going to get there. We'll get some time.
Well, yeah, but you know, I mean, the first 10 games of the season are kind of a gimme. But once you start getting into game 14, 15, if you're not clicking, I mean, the playoffs are decided by 2 or 3 points now for the top 1 through 8, unless you have a Boston or a Lightning situation. Mike, just give me 5 seconds of saying anything. Give me a Don't Unfriend Me station identification. I'm going to make sure you're coming in 5x5.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm just going down to Florida. Actually, it's going to be the Classic. So we're playing as NHL hockey teams. So we're going down as the Washington Capitals. So I'm hoping we don't pull the Capitals and get knocked out first round, and then we go nowhere.
Do me a favor, grab that little mic cover and put that over. Your plosives are coming through. See, like, Olivia and I don't have those.
St. Peter Piper picked a whatever.
Yeah, St. Peter Piper
You do not want me to try to say that.
Try something. Say something. A bunch of things.
Peter Piper picked up. Yeah.
Just push your mic away a little bit. Just a little bit, like 3 inches away. There you go.
How about that?
That's better.
Peter Piper picked up. Yeah.
Just don't do it. Just eat a crayon and shut up.
Mike, somebody wants to know if your hockey game is going to be televised anywhere.
Oh.
Yeah. On like the Home Shopping Network, if they like trying to sell a V8 camera or something.
Yes. So I think the thing it's called Barn Live. That's the network that you can view basically any hockey that's hooked into the system. You can watch it. I just have no idea what rink we're actually going to be at. You have to know the rink to get in the system. So once I figure out a rink, I can let people know. But yeah, I think it's Barn Live, but I'll have to double check on that.
Let us know, man, because I'll stream the damn thing. We can watch it live.
Ethan would love to watch it.
I would love to watch it, so I'd love to see it too. I was just being facetious. Wow, we've got a night. It's going to be an interesting night, and we're trying to limit our topics because with the recorded show and everything else, it just gets. There's a lot. There's a lot to cover, and we want to try to make the show as streamlined as possible. So tonight, we're covering Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro are in a jungle fever argument. Jungle fever because he's white and she's black, and that was the best thing I could think of. What was it? What was the name of that movie that covered back in the 90s, 80s? It was like Wesley Snipes. What was it? Jungle Fever, and it was Spike Lee did it. Liv, are you even listening, honey?
Sorry, I'm looking.
Are you on the show, or what are you doing?
I'm looking up because the hockey incident a couple weeks ago, he was charged with manslaughter.
Yeah, I know, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about this.
Gotcha. Somebody said something. I had to look it up.
Who cares what people say?
It's hockey.
I'm asking you a question.
I apologize.
Do you know?
No, I didn't hear what the question was. I'm sorry.
Good night, folks. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Obviously, Olivia.
Yes, Yes, it was Jungle Fever.
Thank you. God, I mean, come seriously, Liv, join the show. I mean, you're a host, and you're over here. Like, look, I'm looking up this recipe for this chocolate chip cookie that's going to be.
If it was pot pie, I'd understand.
Pot pie's totally fine, but you can't.
She's Facebooking and getting your YouTube up.
No, she's not. No, she's literally looking up a topic we're not talking about. And it's the same way during movies. Like, we'll be watching a movie and she'll be like, who is this person? And I'm really good at that. And I'm just like, oh God, I don't know. But honey, don't look it up, please. Let's just watch the movie. And then 15 minutes later, she's still trying to figure it out. Then I got to get on my phone and figure it out. Does this sound familiar?
Yes.
Or am I right? Okay. Did you want me to try again?
Yes, try again.
Okay, so just say yes when I ask you the movie. Hey, when I say Jungle Fever, isn't that the movie with Spike Lee?
I have no idea.
No, that's not what you were supposed to. I just told. Oh my God.
I did. I'm sorry.
I just told you what to say. What did you,
no, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I said just say yes.
Oh,
because Mike already looked it up while you weren't paying attention about not paying attention when you weren't paying attention. Like, you just weren't paying attention about me saying you weren't paying attention. That's how bad this gets. Let's try it again. Hey, Liv, Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens are having jungle fever, and they're not getting along very well. Hey, wasn't there a movie by Spike Lee called Jungle Fever, Liv?
Si, senor.
No, that would be Jungle Fevero. And that's not the one. Jumping, Georgia. Jumping, Georgia. All right, then we're going to talk about Nikki Haley. It's going to be a night. We're talking about Nikki Haley. Oh, you got it? No. Tell Hayden to throw a piece on. It's not hard. Nikki Haley, we're going to talk about her. And some people are going to be surprised because I don't know why people do this, but when you say anything positive about a candidate, or they think you're voting for them, or they think you want them for president. I never, ever have said Nikki Haley is president in 2024. I said she would make a good VP candidate, and I stick to that. But she said some things that I don't agree with, and we're going to talk about it tonight. And I've got some challenges. And then we're going to talk about Xi Jinping, who made a trip to China, Mike, from China to San Francisco. It's close enough.
Well, are you sure?
It's Chinatown.
Are you sure it was San Francisco? Because it looked a lot like China.
Had to speak San Franciscan vagina. Yeah, it's San Fran. I mean, it didn't look like San Fran. It looked like the Taj Mahal. It was pristine and beautiful from the days of old.
It was, you could eat off
Yeah.
Absolutely. You could eat off that cement there. It'd be amazing.
What did they do with all those homeless people, I wonder? Isn't that trafficking? Didn't they accuse of Ron DeSantis? We're going to talk about it tonight. There's a whole bunch that we are going to dive into. A lot of it hypocrisy. So let's get to it. Olivia's going to come sit down. We have the fire going because it's cold. And
our kids are too chicken to put wood into it, so I have to do it. I have to get up and do it.
Yeah. And I put wood into it all the time, but that's not the same type of fire. That is hot, though. It is hot. It is hot, though, right? But that you listen to. That you're not distracted by. But everything else, if it's sex, you're wide awake. You look really good tonight, Liv. You're very well lit, and you're looking your freckles are out, which is cute. Oh, your freckles are cute. What's wrong with your freckles? Why don't you like your freckles? You have cute freckles. I'm sorry. All right, let's get into it.
I didn't have freckles when I was younger. That means it's older age freckles.
It's probably skin cancer.
Okay.
Well, that's what they say, right? When you get in the sun and you get those spots on your, isn't that what it is when you get older? What do they call those?
Melanoma? I don't know.
Sunspots or liver spots or whatever?
It's called
I don't know.
souls that you've stolen.
What do we just revert back to Harry Potter or something? I mean, souls. Real quick, Olivia and I are big Diablo players.
That's the thing with the gingers.
Where the hell are you coming from? Mike is on his own wavelength tonight. He's having his.
I don't have red hair, Mike.
Okay. So anyway, your brother and sister do, which is interesting. Maybe you're adopted. Her brother and sister have red hair.
Both have red hair.
And you don't. You're adopted.
I look too much like my mom.
No, you don't. No. Don't say that. Don't say that. That's not. Oh, great. Little blue pill ordered for my house now because there's no way I'm ever getting an erection again.
Jeez. My grandmother had red hair. That's why my brother and sister have red hair.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so we're talking about something that doesn't make any sense, but Olivia and I are very proud. Would you like to tell everyone and share our Diablo achievement to everybody that they don't know about? I mean, seriously, Olivia.
That we hit 100?
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Oh. Okay.
So
I didn't
you're supposed to tell
it was that big of a deal.
Do you okay, you've been on the show now for a long time. Do you understand that it's not about having a conversation with me? It's you saying, "Hey, everybody, Matt and I hit 100," versus about 100. Oh, okay. No, they don't know what you're talking about. So you've got to tell them first, and then be like nonchalant about it. So why don't you tell them what that means?
We hit 100 levels. I don't know how to explain it. If no one's a video gamer, then they're not going to understand. I know.
Hey guys, I heard this amazing thing about Diablo. What does getting to 100 levels mean?
Oh my God, Mike, that's so funny that you brought that up because Olivia and I hit 100 on Diablo. Yeah. Now, see, Olivia, if you were really doing your job, there'd be applause, but you're so behind. Okay, that was pretty good. You did. That was much better than Mike's reactions. Usually Mike is like the next segment. He's like, "Oh, I found it." And it's always the bomb.
Hey, he's like, Olivia must have worked today.
No, Olivia's.
Yes, I did work today.
We're having a good time. Can I just be honest? It's like my days suck without Olivia home. It's horrible. Like I miss her completely. And like it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, plus flu and cold is going around. I think I'm getting some. So
you better suck it up because we got
blasé. My throat hurts. But
we got a show tonight. Here it is. First things first. We're gonna do Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, Jungle Love. Do we have that song?
No, we do not.
What is that, Tarzan song?
I don't know.
Do you know what that song is? Anybody?
I've heard it, but I don't know exactly.
Isn't it Jungle Love?
I just feel like it's going ice, ice, ice.
What?
What the hell are you talking about? Gingers and ice. Is this
ice?
I have a feeling this is a Mike from the past. I'm in my own program over here. You just, ladies and gentlemen, the Mike and Mike show is going. All right. So we've got.
Listen, there's a wall between us. Whatever happens over here is fine.
Do me a favor. Take your power out of the computer take that audio cable and put that into your computer, and let's see if that fixes some things. Can you do that for me real quick? Do you know what to do, or do you need me to come over and help you?
Sorry, say that again.
Pull the power out of the computer, and then reach over to that little dongle and take the audio cable that I taught you and plug it directly into the computer. Because you're breaking up.
Is it the Rode one?
Do you need me to go do it?
No, yes. Trying to figure this out.
All right. How about now?
No. Liv. Yeah, you got to pull the... Seriously, Mike, we did this, and it's totally not your fault. No, it's not. Seriously, it's confusing. There's like all three cables look the same. And I got to remember...
Rode one or...
What a show. This is great. Folks, later we'll have dancing orangutans and pandas to entertain everybody.
All right. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Nope. Liv? Whatever you're doing, it's wrong.
Not the technical person here.
Try it now, Mike. Mike, stay on the mic and just talk. Oh, my God. Folks, we should just pop smoke. This sucks. This is the worst show ever. Why is the heat on when the fireplace is going on? I mean, it's hotter than jungle love in here. I don't know, folks. I don't know if this is going to work tonight. I'll tell you what. I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's 76 degrees in this house. Yeah, that's a little warm. Sorry, folks. Olivia, can I have an update? There we go. Hold on.
There we go.
Hi, Michael.
Now I'm back.
Much better, Michael. Is that directly into the computer?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Now pull the mic to you just a little closer, and we're going to call it good.
Okay. How about now?
That's great. That's good. All right, Liv, we're green. Let's go.
Now we can get back to ice, baby.
Oh, my Lord. I'll tell you what. It's just, it's going to be one of those shows. We're just going to have to go with it. Oh, I'm going with it. I mean, we don't have a choice. What else do you want to do? I mean, not go with it? Nikki Haley. Well, there's our intro, folks. We're going right to work now because we're an hour and 38 minutes left, and yeah, we're going into it. Nikki Haley. Her last debate. A lot of people said that Vivek Ramaswamy won. And I think that people need to change the way they process winning and losing. I don't think Vivek, whatever, won. I think he was the loudest, most obnoxious, and most break the system and make the debate look stupid. That's my gut. Liv, what do you think? Instead of typing.
I didn't watch the debate, so I have no idea.
Great. Mike, what do you think?
Well, and this is where he won. Did he win because he went after the hosts or the presenters and put out his BS talking points rather than actually having a debate on any kind of policy type issues? Is that why they're trying to say he won? Because just watching it, like, I just thought he was a clown.
Yeah, and see, it's not that he doesn't say things that isn't true. Is I just don't. I consider him to be like the weather. If you don't like it, just stick around. It's going to change. The weather in Colorado. Mm-hmm. But Nikki Haley, I don't know why people think this. She's going to say stupid things. But here's the thing, folks, and I want you all to listen. And I've got a lot of people here. And I just want you to process this. Okay? Mike Pence was the greatest vice president. Donald Trump said how wonderful he was. Everybody loved him. They remember how he shellacked Tim Kaine, how he shellacked Hillary Clinton in the debates. He stood up there during COVID. And he always supported Trump, even by grabbing by the pussy. He sat down in front of the nation and the Christians and said, hey, people make mistakes. People get better, right? And everyone loved Pence until they didn't. Everyone loved the Kraken until they didn't. Everyone loved Giuliani until they didn't. Everyone loved Tim Meadows. Not Tim Meadows, Mark Meadows. Geez, Tim Meadows from SNL. Everyone loved Mark Meadows until they didn't. Everyone loved Lindsey Graham, hated him, then loved him, then hated him again. Everyone had no problem with McCarthy when Donald Trump endorsed him. And here's a perfect example with Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. Is it Mike Johnson? Yeah, whatever. Johnson from Speaker of the House. 2 weeks ago, everyone, he's sent from God. He's anointed by Jesus.
The 7th round pick.
Donald Trump, right. The 7th round pick is essentially the Wayne Gretzky of the House. And what did we tell you? I said, just give it 2 weeks and they'll find a reason to hate him. Give it 2 weeks and they'll find a reason to hate him. Guess what? They hate him. He signed off on the government shutdown with no concessions. Not zero, zilch, none. He also fully funded Ukraine and Israel as the first thing he did as speaker. Everyone hates him now. He's a rhino. Now he's a rhino. And my issue with all of this is if you're a Trump supporter, you guys are so wrapped around Trump's leg that no sunshine can shine through the two of you. No light can get to you. We need to put a balloon in there for Jesus. Okay? We need to save some room for the Holy Ghost. Don't you guys remember this? And some of you are old enough when you would go to school dances and the teacher would walk up and they put a balloon in between you and they would say, save some for Jesus, God, and the Holy Ghost.
I wonder what they do now.
Oh, they probably hand him a condom and say, go into the back of my car and be back in 5 minutes. But the point is, you should put a balloon. We need to put a balloon in between us a little bit. We need to stop humping the leg of candidates because Nikki Haley said some stupid things today, and I'm going to point them out. But she's getting the Ron DeSantis treatment because Ron DeSantis was the threat. Well, guess what? Ron DeSantis isn't a threat. Ramaswamy has no chance. He's still sub 5. Nikki Haley just broke double digits. So she's going to take over DeSantis. So she's the flavor of the month. Everyone's going to call her a war hawk. She's this. She wants to censor you. She loves China. And they're going to make her just like DeSantis. But what happened? DeSantis 9 months ago, everybody wanted a Trump DeSantis ticket. Hell, they were selling shirts. So let me ask you a question. Do you just wait to find out who you're going to hate today? Do you just wait, or do you make up your own mind? Can we stop and listen to what Nikki Haley says here and find the bad about it, which there is, and I'm going to hit her, but I can also understand where she's coming from. Because there's something happening that's really nefarious, and I'll tell you what it is. So let's listen to what she says, and then we can all judge, okay? But I'm going to ask you to slow down. But this is the machine. Jack Proso and all those guys, all the Republican talking points, the woman, Laura Loomer is out there, and they're all destroying Nikki Haley. They're tearing her apart the same way they did to DeSantis. And if this is what it's come to, is that Republicans / conservatives and the people who support them, the pundits, are going to try to program us like the liberals do, then I will say it loud and clear, fuck the Republican Party and fuck all the Republican talking heads. Because you're not going to sit here and tell me who to vote for. You're not going to tell me who I'm supposed to like and not like. You're just as bad as liberals. And there is this element inside the Republican Party which is extremely toxic. I'm sick of it. Just because you think Donald Trump is the only person, and he can't be speaker, he can't be all 400 some odd seats, he can't be all 100 Senate seats, he can't be every city council person, he can't be every governor. There's only one of him. And by the people he endorses, all 23 over the last 2 years of elections, he's 0 for 23, which shows you the people who try to replicate him fail miserably. I want you to listen to this. That's my intro. I know it was a long one, but I'm fired up about this. Here.
When I get to office.
Oh, Lord. Every show. Every show it does this.
You just need to put a sticky note on the top of your computer.
Yeah.
Switch the sound.
Yeah, switch the damn sound. Let's try it again. Here it is.
That's the first thing we have to do, social media. When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing.
Okay, so there's the first point. Seeing the algorithms. Twitter has been fairly open about that. Algorithm is the coding. It shows how they propagate, how they disseminate, how they process their information, what they prioritize, what they don't. Do you two have a problem with that?
No, I mean, that's one of those, like, if you want to get big on those things, yes, you have to understand that so you can get stuff out there. But for the average Joe, they don't care because they're just sending stuff out to their friends. They're sending memes to each other. So unless you're trying to get big or you're trying to get a big message out there, like, I honestly think it doesn't matter for most people.
I do.
Okay, what do you think?
Because I got freaking censored all the time and fact checked. If I put Trump in anything, it was fact checked, and it was bullshit. Just because I am conservative, I got fact checked on pretty much anything I posted that was political. And I think it's wrong. If it's a social media channel and you're supposed to be able to, follow the guidelines of what, know what I'm talking about. No bad things on there. But if you're just talking about something and making a statement about something, like you watch the debate or you agree with what Trump said or blah, 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 and you getting fact checked for something, then I think it's wrong. And especially over COVID. Anytime you mention COVID in a negative light.
Yeah, let's not do that. Like, let's not mention that on this show. You know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We can't. YouTube will immediately flag the show. Because you said the word, it's now going to get throttled. And that's the way it still is. Is that okay?
No, it's not.
No, it's not okay. And so there's a lot of people who are like, I don't want the government. Good job, thanks. I don't want the government regulating. Regulation needs to happen. I mean, who do you want to regulate it? I mean, unfettered access to everything and carte blanche for corporations to do whatever they want. That's how you get Ma Bell. That's how you get Southern California Edison. That's how you get Gateway Computers. That puts HP and Dell completely and Compaq out of business. You can't. You have to have some regulation. And I want the government making sure that these corporations aren't too big. I want them to focus on this because who else is going to do it? Because when you have a major corporation, you have entities. You have commodities, you have stocks, you have overall Department of Treasury involved, you have the State Department involved. You've got multiple, you have IRS involved. I mean, it's already controlled. What are we talking about here? So you're talking about adding more oversight to corporations? Good. We already gave corporations freedom of speech and gave them human rights. You can't do that. They're not an entity, but they are treated as such. And that's what Citizens United creates. It creates a corporate entity to have the same rights as an individual voice. And I think that's ridiculous. I don't think free speech should happen with a corporation. If churches can't have free speech because of taxation, why do corporations do? Corporations get bailouts. They get tax cuts. Why aren't you putting the same restrictions that churches can't talk about politics, but corporations can? Oh, because churches are nonprofit. Well, every single one of those freaking corporations are making massive write-offs every year to charitable contributions to deduct their taxes. That's not the same thing the church is doing? So it's hard for me to understand why people say, well, I don't want more regulation. Why? I don't want more regulation against me as an individual, but I don't care about corporations because I don't believe corporations has the same rights that you and I do.
But is this where do you have?
Go ahead.
Do you have the faith that the government is actually going to do it in a correct way that actually has a level playing field, or are they going to do what they always do and figure out whatever interest or whoever's lining the pockets of the correct senator or representative to get their side to go scot-free, and then they'll harp on their competitors?
Well, here's the thing is I don't care, but I want to know if a company like TikTok is taking my information and selling it to China. I want to know if Facebook is using my information and the algorithm, the way I interact, and selling it to advertisers. We should know that type of stuff. Okay? That's what the algorithm is. I also want to know if it's censoring me. I want to know if it's shutting me down. I want to know if it's hitting my thread and not allowing me to see certain people, to change my algorithm in my head to be more focused around something more palatable to what this corporation pushes. It's important to all of us. This isn't just about people who have a social media platform like we do. This should be everybody should be concerned about this, hands down. I think it's important to everybody. You may not agree, but to me, I don't think Nikki Haley's off base with this. Okay, so let's listen to the rest.
As every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say.
Accountability.
And they know their pastor and their family member is going to see it. It's going to help our kids, and it's going to help our country.
So this one is okay. Olivia, you go first, because I know Mike and I are gonna have something to say. So she wants to. Were you paying attention, or were you doing some? Were you doing some macrame underneath the table?
I was doing cross stitching.
Cross stitching. Yes. Okay, so now that you're done with cross stitching, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm kind of mixed on that. I mean, I agree with her first thing, but having to, yes, I mean, my real name's on my social media, but it shouldn't, if you don't want your real name out there, it shouldn't have to be. I mean, I don't know. I know some people wouldn't want it. That's why people have different nicknames online. But that's just me.
Mike?
See, this is where I'm going back and forth, because I can understand that rather than a name to it, just keeping it to one account per person under whatever name that they choose, that they're not allowed to do multiple accounts. But I can also see yes, your name is attached to it, so that way whatever you say, yes, you're going to have to own up to it. But then that's also one of those of, then they're just going to have this catalog, which they do anyway, of everything you said back to whenever. So 50 years down the line, they can go back to one tweet or one Facebook post you put out saying, oh, you said this, now you're getting fired for whatever from that far ago. It's like, they're just going to end up using it against you. So, and I get the bots so people can inflate numbers or do things, but with the way AI is going, you're going to have these bots. So how are you truly going to be able to censor that in a way that actually makes sense for where things are going? So I can see it to a point to where you have a single account per person. But again, it's one of those, and like, then I'm going to lose Mikey No Legs, and I'm not cool with that. So,
right. And you've already lost your legs. Losing your account about losing legs is going to be worse.
Now you're going to tell me I'm not allowed to have my non-existent legs out there? I mean, come on.
That's right. Seriously. It's
government already took my legs once. You can't take it again.
It's insensitive. It's just, do you need a moment, or are you going to be okay?
I'll get a hurt feelings report later. It's okay. All right.
Just send in the shit. So, okay, I understand what Nikki Haley's saying, but inadvertently she lumped in the entire United States with this. Her thought was an incomplete thought. Yeah, I think Russian bots shouldn't be on U.S. Facebook. I don't think Chinese bots and Korean bots, and I don't think those people who keep selling that fucking blackhead video of a giant zit with a blackhead in it, and it looks like a dilapidated penis on my fucking show. So everybody clicks it because, like, what the hell is that? They take random images that look like a human penis or a vagina, but it's not. And then what they do is they Photoshop a giant blackhead on it. And they make a comment like, Dr. blah, blah, blah had this removed for me. And people are like, huh? And they click it and then they get sucked in. They're all over the site. I'm sick of these people. Every day they come on and it's always like Rainbow 26 or Jesse 32. And I can't block these sons of bitches. So I had to turn off all linking on my profile because I got sick of people clicking into this thing because it's a mind game. They take these images that have some sort of compulsory reaction to most people. They'll show them 100 images. And the one that has like, oh, what is that? They'll take one of those images and then they'll take 100 other ones. And then somebody's like, oh, it gets a visceral reaction to that image. And then they'll blend them together with Photoshop. So you get a yam potato with a blackhead on it. And people are like, oh my God, what could that possibly be? Or it looks like you've seen these photos. You'll have like an animal that looks like a Pokemon character, and they'll take some sort of panda from China that's very rarely seen, and they'll rainbow color it and add a unicorn horn. And they're like this, and people go, is that real? It's just a guise to get you to click. Well, these people do it all the time. I want to know that I have the ability to not have those people on my site. So why does it have to be a universal thing? Why can't I just say, unless you have a verified account, you can't interact with my page? Why don't you leave it to the free market? Now, that would have been nice if Nikki Haley would have said that. We're going to give content creators the option to
So how do you verify an account, though?
You can't. I want to go to Don't Unfriend Me. There it is. I want to watch this video. This owner requires you to verify your account to participate. Then it's your choice. And it's either it's just free market at work. I want to go here or I don't. Hey, Chick-fil-A hates gays. I'm just not going to go ahead and eat a Chick-fil-A anymore, even though it's not true.
But I'm confused. How would you verify it?
There's a process. Don't Unfriend Me doesn't allow you to enter this page unless you verify. Ben Shapiro doesn't let you enter this. 60 Minutes won't let you. ABC. And then finally people are going to be like, you know what? Fuck this. I can't even surf the net. I'm just going to go ahead and verify. It's what they did in Virginia. Pornhub, X videos, all the major porn sites you can't go to in Virginia anymore unless, even if you want to certify, they just blocked you. I think that's wrong.
I still understand, but
I'm going to explain it to you. I'm trying to explain it to you. But every other state that they've had this law, you can go and verify. And you put in your driver's license and your address and your photo ID, and it checks you, and then it gives you a check mark, and then you can have access to all these accounts. Same thing on Facebook, where if you go to Don't Unfriend Me and you see a video, it says, I'm sorry, we can't play this video. Maybe I can show 1 minute of it, but the full 30-minute video, it will say, this page, Don't Unfriend Me, requires you to have a verified account. And people are like, you know what? Screw it. I don't want to go to Don't Unfriend Me. I'm not going to verify my account. So they go and surf and swipe past the video, or it piques their interest and they're like, well, I like this. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to verify. So I'm going to go ahead and click the button, and Facebook is going to have me show my ID and show them a real picture. And then I'm verified as Matt Spear, and boom, I get a check mark. And then now every site I want to go to, I'm verified and I can access anything I want.
Got it.
There's nothing wrong with that. That is what's known as free market capitalism. What they want to do is totalitarianism, where they blocked Pornhub and X videos and all this stuff. It's like Virginia, it's too much work. Fuck it. We're just not going to play in Virginia anymore. If you have a Virginia IP, you cannot access Pornhub. You can't get on your phone. You can't get on your computer. Nothing. You just can't access it anymore. You can't even verify because Virginia was being so strict. Pornhub said, you know what? Free market capitalism. Fuck it. We're not going to be in Virginia anymore. I think that's wrong. But there is a happy medium. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you want to combat this, then you make it voluntary. But because it is a content provider, they don't have to serve you if you won't follow the rules that this page sets. So make the decision. Give it to each. And you know what? Imagine Ben Shapiro doing that. Well, guess what? I'm going to feast because I'm going to say, screw that. I'm not verifying accounts. All of you, come one, come all. Bring your huddled masses. And then I'm going to get more popular because some asshat wants to verify every account. So don't put it on the companies. Don't put it on the government. Put it on the content creators. That's what you should do. But she didn't say that. And now everyone's saying she's a communist and she's working for communist China. Folks, you're allowed to say something with positive intent, and what should happen is a conversation should ensue, not stopping the conversation.
Should be a follow-up question.
Yeah, there should be something. Like, I blame Harris Faulkner. What the hell? Ask the frickin' follow-up. Wait a second. Are you saying, And then she can be like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I didn't put that the right way. It's a very simple thing to do. But honestly, the conversation's not propelling forward. You know what they're saying? Donald Trump is the answer. Vote for Trump. Don't vote for Haley. I'm like, that doesn't move the conversation forward. We should answer this question. Do we want unfettered access? Go ahead.
Like, how many times do you get asked a question like that in an interview that's they probably don't know the question's coming and they just spew an answer? How many times is that 100% correct? It's like, give people a chance. Like, okay, yeah, this is what I said. And then later, like, yeah, let's start this conversation so we can get to a point. But if you're just sitting here like, hey, what's your answer on this? Well, I'll say something. Doesn't mean that's my full correct answer that I fully believe, but that's what I think right now, or that's what I remember right now. And then eventually, like, oh yeah, well, maybe we tweak these couple things. So you're not going to get your first answer 100% correct. So if you're going to judge someone fully off of that and that's it,
right?
That's pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But people are wondering where Leroy and Amy are on Wednesday nights, guys. It's Mondays and Fridays, and honestly, it's probably just going to move to Fridays because they're too busy. They can't be on twice a week, and I'm going to have that conversation with them because I think they feel obligated, and they just need to come on Fridays and make it easy because it's really hard for them. There needs to be rules, right? But don't make this a bureaucracy. Make it an individual's choice of how they want to run their business. Here's an example. If somebody doesn't wear shoes and a shirt, are they allowed in every single business across America? No. But what has to happen?
That company has to post a sign or post something that says you can't, no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Right. It's not a government law. It's the choice of the business owner. So as a person who leases my page from Facebook, and I agree to give them the information of people who interact with my page, and then they pay me a subsidy based upon those interactions in ad revenue, as a business owner, I should be able to decide who interacts with my page and who doesn't. And if I don't want Democrats from Occupy, that traffic coming over, I should be able to stop that. I wouldn't, because they're some of my they're my biggest fans. They love to hate me, and I love them for hating me because you make me money.
And it's some of the best conversation.
Some of the best conversations, some of the best embarrassment I do is against Occupy people because they're surface level myopic thinkers. But Nikki Haley isn't a CCP. Okay, because this is how stupid this is. TikTok wants unfettered access, no regulation. If you're freaking 6 years old, you can create multiple accounts on TikTok. That's what they want. Well, Nikki Haley is saying, I want regulation to limit the amount of people. It's the opposite of what the CCP is saying. So it doesn't make much sense. But the only reason people are talking about this is because they have moved on from DeSantis. They've sunk his ship, and now they're going after Haley. If Donald Trump can't do that himself, then I don't want him as president. If Donald Trump can't get on stage and destroy Nikki Haley in a conversation, then I don't want him as the president of the United States. Do any of you? If Nikki Haley would win in the debate, do you really want Donald Trump as your president? I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't understand. What we're saying is, okay, this is great. This is really cute for the next year. Then what do we do? When every single person isn't Donald Trump, does that mean that conservatives are just going to abandon the Republican platform? Which is fine because they abandon us. But what are we going to do? We're never going to win another election again if this keeps up. If we just constantly split and divide forces, what are we going to do?
I mean, what are they going to do if Trump wins? He can only be president for another 4 years. What are you going to do in 2028? Try and get him to be able to run for a third term? He's also in his late 70s. He's not going to be able to run again. If he doesn't win this one, he's not going to be able to run in 2028. He's going to be too old.
Right.
So you got to move on.
So I want somebody to give me the definition of rhino on the show right now. And it could be a host or it could be a listener. Please define what a rhino is. Now, don't you dare be like RHINO is a person who pretends to be a Republican and isn't, because that's not what a rhino is. That's not what you're telling me a rhino is. You're telling me a rhino is a person who disagrees with whoever you agree with. That's your definition. Because Nikki Haley isn't saying anything that other conservative Christians aren't saying. Conservative Christians want throttling of social media. Isn't that what we wanted?
I think a rhino in today's definition for most Republicans right now is if a person disagrees with Trump, then they are a rhino. And that's what I have been seeing a lot is anyone who disagrees with Trump, anyone who goes against what he says, they're rhinos. And they said it while he was in office, and they called Mike Pence one, and that's not what it is. But
so Richard Neely says, I don't need Trump to win a debate. I have seen, okay, so, and I know what Trump can do. You know what Trump can do from 2016. You don't know
Hillary.
You don't know what Trump can do. Trump hasn't been in office. By the time it's all said and done, it's going to be 3 years. We don't know what Trump can and can't do because he's in court hearings all day long. And he won't show up to a debate.
He needs to show up to the next
He
one.
hasn't even said he'll debate Biden. He hasn't even confirmed he'll debate anybody, even the primary candidate. If Nikki Haley or DeSantis come through this, or Vivek, he hasn't said he'll debate them either. Wait a second. So what you're saying is as bad as we are saying Biden needs to run, he needs to earn this. This isn't just given to him, which it is because he's the incumbent. He is the president of the United States. He is the leader of the Democratic Party. Whether we all know it's Obama in the background or not, it doesn't matter because this is the way it is. If anyone has no right to run or no obligation, it's Biden. Biden doesn't have to campaign at all. He can just, I'm the fucking president. I can take 1 hour of airtime a night for my campaign legally and just talk to the nation every single night if he really wanted to. So if you expect Biden to earn it and not be in the basement, why are you okay with Trump being in the basement? Because Biden's doing it, so he can do it too. I think that's ridiculous. I want to see Trump get up and talk about the plan for America. I want to know how he's going to stop the war in Ukraine. He's not saying it. I could have it stopped in 1 day. Oh, how? I won't. It's a secret. If it's a secret, then it's not a very good plan. Because the one great thing about Ronald Reagan and Trump in 2016 is he may not have talked about war strategy, but they did lay down the plan and say, hey, Iran, this is what's going to happen on day one. Trump did the same thing when he laid out his plan as far as Supreme Court justices. He laid it out. As far as USMCA, he laid it out. As far as taxing China and trade tariffs, he laid it out. There's no secret here. Just tell us what you're going to do. I want to know. I want to know what you're going to do about fentanyl. I want to know how you're going to get the money through committee and get the border wall paid for. These are things I want to know. Things have changed. We're a long way from 2016. We're certainly a long way from 2020. And let's face it, folks, 2020, he's not the president right now. No matter what you say about the election, he hasn't been in office. So if you think that those rallies that he does truly tells you what his platform is, I'm going to challenge your thought process because I'm not hearing that. Mike, do you have an answer to any of those questions from when you've listened to Trump, what he plans on doing in Ukraine, what he plans on doing as far as Taiwan, what his thoughts are in Israel, what is he going to do to reinstate the Abraham Accords? What are your thoughts, Mike? Have you heard any of that?
No, and it's not going to happen to where, my whole thing is yes, everyone goes back to, we know what he did when he was in office. Cool, that's great. What is he going to do now? And obviously we've seen with all the people that he's endorsed and they haven't won. So if he does get in, he will likely have Democrats having either one or both sides of Congress. So how are you going to get anything through or anything passed that you actually want?
Correct.
I haven't heard any game plans other than he has all these judges and district attorneys going after him and all the hoaxes that are happening. I'm like, okay, cool. I understand that stuff's happening. What are you going to do for America right now to get us back in the standing that we were back in 2020? But guess what? The times have completely changed. There's half this world is under a war right now, whether it's proxy or actually fighting in it. How are you going to change all that? Yes, he started the process to get out of Afghanistan, but his plan didn't actually go through because Biden stopped it and put his own plan in and just withdrew. If you do that to Ukraine, Ukraine's going to fall within a day. So then how are you going to deal with the collapse of another government allowing Russia to just roll through? Are you going to do the same thing for Israel? Like, there's so many questions out there that if you just do immediate pullouts, there's going to be some second, third, and fourth order effects that we're not going to want. So how do you slow roll it such a way that you're getting to your ultimate goal of not being in Ukraine and not dealing with that war, or backing up Israel like we should? Like, how do you do that in a responsible way and still deal with the threats from Iran, getting China back in their corner, and then whatever they're going to end up doing with Russia? Like, there's so many questions out there, but we have nothing from him other than, I'm going to win. I'm going to be the guy. Like, great. What are you going to do for it? How are you going to do it? Because right now, you're just that guy that's backed in the corner. It's like, hey, I've got to fend all this stuff, but don't worry. It's just back like when Pelosi's like, oh, just pass this bill. It's okay. Once we pass it, we can tell you what's in.
Yeah.
Elect me, and then I'll let you know what I'm going to do. It's like, that's not how this works anymore. Tell us what you're going to do. Let's have those debates, and then we'll see if we want you right now or not. Because your time may be over, and it may be time for somebody.
I know what's wrong with Mike, so I know why it's cutting out. So there's a duck feature that I just need to turn off on your processor. We'll fix that tomorrow. Gloria Perkins says, good points, Mike. Trump will not leave. Michael Cohen stated that with a hearing with Elijah Cummings. What the hell do you think the first impeachment was about Ukraine? I have no idea what that means.
Me neither.
Yeah, Gloria, I don't know what that means. So you're going to have to explain it, because that's just like two different topics. And I'm completely aware what the first impeachment was about. And it wasn't that the two were not synonymous with each other, surprisingly enough. What do you mean what Michael Cohen? Since when do we listen to Michael fucking Cohen? This is your star witness, huh? This is the guy? Didn't you guys hate Michael Cohen for the Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti bullshit? Didn't you guys want to hang him from a yardarm, and now you guys want to have him run for office like Michael Avenatti? I don't understand the left. You guys have strange bedfellow. Yes, Trump surrounds himself with weird people. There's no doubt. And a lot of them are off their rocker. But you guys surround yourself with criminals. I don't understand it. It baffles me. Michael Cohen. Next up, Dr. Kevorkian on proper health care. Come on. I just don't think... I just don't think that anybody wants anything other than complete destruction of our current state of government. I really believe that's what people want. They just want it to all burn. And I understand being bitter. I understand being frustrated. I get it. I get it. But this whole thing, Trump or bust, what are we going to do? And nobody will answer that for me. If everyone's evil and everyone's in somebody's pocket, then can we just maybe say this? Why is Donald Trump the only ethical billionaire on the planet? Would anyone else please do me a favor right now in chat? Please name and hold on one second. Fucking cat. Just bangs the door all day long. Mike, go call your cat. Can someone name an ethical billionaire?
Or Mike, tell Ethan to come get the cat and open the door, please.
Just tell me name an ethical billionaire. Name one. Mike, you first.
If you're getting the status of a billionaire, you probably aren't ethical, because in order to get that much money, you're going to have to run over people to get up that high. So good luck. My other thing for this is, I understand people can be pissed off at the system and they may not like that it's dominated by two party, but people need to realize how good we have it in this country. If you really think our system is that broken, go to another country and see how bad it is, and see what happens when you don't have rights, when you have all that stripped away. We actually have it really good here. Yes, we may be dysfunctional at times. We may be really polarized at times, but we're still freaking the best country in the world, and we need to keep it that way. when we go so far that you give up all those rights because you think like, oh, we need to do this, we need to give the government more power, you can't get that back. You're not going to turn this cycle around and make it work. So be very careful with how far and how much power you give to certain people at certain levels, because like you can't put that back in the water and it's not going to go well for you.
So is Elon Musk an ethical billionaire? Well, he wasn't 2 years ago. None of you liked him. He was Tesla. This guy wanted to replace all vehicles with EV vehicles. You guys said that he had a brain chip that was going to control people with artificial intelligence, and he was going to put it in your head. What the fuck? Do you guys think I don't remember what you've said? Do you think I don't remember the narratives of how Elon Musk was the devil and he was a part of the New World Order and he was George Soros's puppet to take over the brains of people, and he was going to be the mark of the beast that ended all times? You don't think I remember those stories? Oh, now he's your savior? Why? Because you agree with him? Because he went on Joe Rogan? Because he speaks out against liberals? Don't you see how myopic that is? Don't you see how petulant that thought process is? That the only people who are ethical are the ones who agree with me. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly where you can't see Nikki Haley as anything but Hillary Clinton, because this woman listened to a speech from Hillary Clinton in 2012 and it motivated her to get into politics. Do you really believe that Hillary Clinton has never delivered a speech that's somewhat decent in her entire life? Because she has. That doesn't mean you have to love her. She's not your mentor, but that's what Benny Johnson's selling right now. He's saying that Nikki Haley is a Hillary Clinton lover. Give me a break. Give me a break, because you dug up some obscure freaking radio interview. Do you know how much shit I have said over the last 3 years that you could make me sound like a anorexic, bleeding heart, liberal transsexual if you splice it the right way? Give me a break. And see, but that's the thing. Nobody trusts anybody. I don't trust Elon. I don't trust Nikki Haley. I don't trust Mike Pence. I don't trust Donald Trump. I don't trust DeSantis. You don't trust anybody. So why don't you just openly admit that there is nobody that you trust except for the person who you give that trust to, and it's not validated for any reason? It's just your personal preference. That's not trust. That's a crush. It's not trust. You don't know what trust is? Trust is this, is that I would leave this house right now for 3 days and know that my kids would be fed, clothed, taken care of, and unharmed if I let Mike take care of them and Olivia and I have to leave. If we got to get a go bag and get out the door, I know without even asking that my family and my home will be protected. Hockey will be canceled. If I have to go out the door in an emergency and I can't explain, I just got to grab my go bag and go and say, Mike, I got to get the fuck out of here. He will make sure everything is taken care of. That's trust. I know that if I need Mike across the street to be there for any reason, I trust that he will be there. I trust that my wife couldn't even touch another man without being completely so guilty that she would call me during the process. I'm about to cheat on you and I don't know what to, I can't do this. This is wrong. There's trust. I know I trust my daughter's love. I trust my son's love. I trust that this is the greatest country in the world. That's trust. If you trust Nikki Haley, if you trust Donald Trump, if you trust Joe Biden, then you are the biggest fool on the planet, because there is nothing that they have done to earn your trust. Nothing. Not one thing. Even if you got a tax credit from Trump, that's great. Even if he walked by and he signed your boob, that's not trust. Trust means you're willing to put your life in somebody else's hand. That's trust. Mike, Livia, any thoughts on this? Am I way off base? Am I crazy? Can we trust everybody? Should we trust everybody? What is it?
No, I did have a thought on something to say about the whole Trump not going to the debates.
Yeah.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah. Did the fire literally spread out into the kitchen? I mean, why is it so smoky?
Because it went down.
Is it back up?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you give it a blue pill?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Hey, Mike, it's really not hard for you to look to your right and say, hey, Matt, the fire's going out.
I never asked him that.
I shouldn't have to. I trust you. I shouldn't.
Gotcha. I'll look over now.
Thanks, Bubba. I love you. Go ahead, Liv.
So with my thoughts on Trump not going to the debates, I think it's arrogant. And he's very arrogant. And that's him saying that I don't need to, that people are going to vote for me anyway. And every debate he doesn't go to, my opinion of him lowers. And another thing is he's saying his stuff in his rallies. But his rallies, it's a certain type of person that watches those rallies. I've watched a few. I haven't watched any from this year. I
haven't watched a rally in like anything not on the show in like 2.5 years because it's all the same shit.
So how is he expecting to get his message out to people that don't like him right now or don't think they're going to vote for him? How is he expecting to get the suburban mom vote back? If he refuses to do the debates, which are on a national stage that people who aren't even into politics will watch to kind of, get an idea of who's running and who they're going to vote for, how does he expect, if he doesn't do them, how does he expect to plead to those people to vote for him?
Yeah.
It's complete arrogance, and I'm starting to dislike him more and more and more. And I was a huge Trump supporter. And in 2016 is when I really started getting into politics because of Donald Trump. But I don't like his arrogance right now. And this suburban mom, he's starting to lose me, and he needs to get me back.
Okay, that's very fair. I now have to go ahead and respond to something that sounds so real. It sounds so real. It sounds so factual. And you read it and you go, "Oh my God. I can't," but I've heard this before. And the problem with it is it's 90% accurate, but the most important bridges that tie it all together are completely fucking wrong. So we're going to break it apart. First of all, anybody that puts at the end, do your own research. Okay, bro, I guarantee you I am better at this than you are. What show are you on? Oh, it doesn't take that much to create a show. No, dude, I live this. It's all I do. What research do you possibly want me to do that I haven't done already? What do you think I'm going to see? Do you think that I don't understand what defense contractors make? Do you think I don't know what Boeing does? Do you think I don't understand that there's money in politics? Do you think I don't understand what Halliburton is and Dick Cheney? Do you think that Michael and I don't understand that, considering we served during that time? First of all, you mentioned $2 trillion missing right before 9/11. It was not the day before 9/11. And you're off. It was actually $9 trillion. If you look at the overall spending of the defense contracts and you look at the overall spending for the defense budget, I don't know where you're coming up with $2 trillion considering the budget is $756 billion. Pardon me. So you're talking 2 years of defense budget was missing. It wasn't that much. But yes, there has been billions over the last 20 years that has been missing in inappropriate spending. And the interesting thing is that if you want to look at this way, if you get $1,000 allowance and you're missing $200 in indiscretionary spending, and you're only doing 2 transactions, there's something really wrong. But if you're doing 40,000 transactions on that $1,000, you're requiring hundreds and thousands of people to ensure that every I and every T is crossed in a system of government which couldn't find its ass with 2 hands. There is no doubt in my mind that money was given to CIA. There was money given to third world countries. There was under the table type dealings that happened. There were weapon systems bought. Of course, dude, Mike and I can tell you stories of literally cash being delivered to us in duffel bags that were given to rival groups in certain countries, or buying weapons off the black market in order to stabilize certain areas of the country. Do you think any of that has receipts? Give me a fucking break. We're aware, but for you to tie 9/11 and the $2 trillion together, that's just you trying to go ahead and justify the Dick Cheney comment and research. I want you right now to show me that $2 trillion went to any of the 7 companies that Dick Cheney has been a board of or has any ties to, anyone in his family or anyone from the Bush administration, if you give me that, I'll give you $10,000 cash. Right now. I will give you $10,000. No, I won't. I'll give you $13,000 because I'm going to pay up your taxes. I'm going to pay the taxes on that $10,000 right now to Venmo or PayPal. Send me documentation that you have that. You do the research. Show it to me because I've read every book. I've read every webpage. I've read every conspiracy theory, and there isn't anything remotely like that. Now what you're going to say is the next conspiracy theory. Oh, they're too good at hiding it. They laundered it. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because in order to get money from the defense budget, if you understood how difficult that process is and understood the chain that it takes to get appropriations from state legislatures and federal legislatures, and then the 3 dot agencies that house that money, you wouldn't say what you're saying. There is waste. There is money that gets transferred from one place to another. I've seen DOJ use defense money. I've seen the Border Patrol use defense money. I've seen the IRS use defense money. Do you understand that that's the way this works? They ask for it. They get denied, so they go ahead and appropriate another bill, get everyone to pork barrel politics, and then they spread the money all over the place. Donald Trump tried to do it, and what did they do? They ran him through the coals because he tried to put money towards the border wall from the defense spending bill. The President of the United States has the ability to redirect the money wherever he wants. That's where his executive orders come in. But you still have to go to Congress and ask for money. $2 trillion is not missing. And for you to say so is disingenuous. Now, if you want to talk about the last 75 years of the country, we can have a conversation. And I will tell you, yes, there is a shit grip of money missing. But it's predominantly in 2013 that most of that money wound up being missing in 2009. Go do the research. Love you. Going to bed?
Yes.
All right, next one. It says Haley runs a defense company via her husband. Dude, her husband is in the military. He's deployed. Who do you think her husband is? Sergeant Rock? Do you think he's the leader of the armed forces? Who do you think her husband is? Do you know he's deployed right now? Do you know he's in the military? What do you mean? Like Cheney. Cheney's husband runs a defense company too? Or like Cheney that he runs Halliburton? But he didn't run Halliburton. He was on the board to Halliburton. There's a difference. Did Cheney make money from these contracts? Yeah. And just like Donald Trump made money through his hotels, just like some of the tax proposals that he went and put into place, he made millions. Does that make him dirty? When you're a billionaire and you have your hand in multiple things, multiple facets, are you going to benefit from some of your own policies? Sure. But that's why Donald Trump stepped away from his business. So it wasn't Donald Trump directly. She was given a board seat with Boeing after giving government favors. Which favors? Which government favors did she give to Boeing? Please tell me. As a UN ambassador, please tell me what power she possessed to negotiate Department of Defense contracts as a UN ambassador. Mike, can you go ahead and tell me how many times a UN ambassador has impacted your service?
0. Getting that board position.
Running protection at an embassy, yes. Running security at an embassy, maybe. That's about it. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's these companies are smart. They are going to pick people that were in certain positions that have knowledge of and are either friends with or colleagues with people that they need to shape their company and where it's going in the future. So that's a very smart pick of being the UN ambassador of she got to know the world stage on, hey, what are certain things that Boeing can make? How can they change things in order to grow the company? It's like most of the colonels and like once you make it to general, you're almost guaranteed a board spot on a bunch of different companies just because of the knowledge that you have. Like that is a very common thing across the entire government. If you're saying it's bad for Nikki Haley, then you've got thousands of people that you now need to go for and right through the coals. So,
Mike, I need to interrupt you. I'm sorry. It's going to be one of those nights. We got to troll. Dude, he says that's not the point. Rumsfeld said flat out that the U.S. lost over $2 trillion. That's not what I said. You just said it was a day before 9/11. That's what you said. That's what you just said. That the United States of America lost $2 trillion. $2 trillion. Lost it. Just lost $2 trillion the day before 9/11. That's what you said. Joe Rogan is most assuredly more influential than me. He also talks about aliens. Okay? Does that mean that Joe Rogan knows more than me? Sure. Does that mean he's more influential than me? Sure. Does that mean that Joe Rogan has intimate knowledge of what I do? No. And you don't know my background. I'm nothing like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is someone I watch all the time, and I admire him. I'm not going to speak ill of him. But if you actually believe that just because you have somebody on your show and talks about something that they actually believe it, well, then you believe Candace Owens, who doesn't know anything about climate change, that Joe Rogan agrees with her that climate change isn't real, when he doesn't. He actually believes in climate change because he believes there's enough factual evidence of that. Do you agree with him? Well, because you don't agree with him, therefore he's full of shit now? Don't you see? It just because he shows the Rumsfeld video, which I've seen too, and I just told you that defense spending and deficit spending, I've done a show on it, how much the defense budget and how much has been lost over the last 30 years. That's why I can give you the 2 dates where most of that money was lost. I can show you foreign aid, how much money we give. I know how much money we've given to Afghanistan. I know how much we've given to Iraq. I know how much we've given to Israel. I know we've given over $360 billion to Israel and their defense over the last 30 years. 50 years, excuse me. I also understand that we've given almost, $136 billion to Ukraine? And we're already almost a third of what we've given to Israel? Do you believe that some of that money is appropriated? That some of that money isn't redistributed? And if you don't take me for my word, then why should I take you for your word that you've worked procurement for the government? What the fuck does that mean? You did a requisition order as a janitor? What do you mean you've done procurement? Be specific. I'll tell you what I did for the military. I'll tell you what I did for the government. You tell me. I'll whip mine out. We'll slap it on the table here. You slap yours. Actually, you tinkle yours on the table, and we'll have a conversation. But just because you did procurement for the government doesn't mean you know anything about what you're talking about. Don't tell me to be honest. Come on the show, 1-804-212-2208. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue. Let's debate this. Because the thing is I'm not disagreeing with you that there's government waste. I'm disagreeing with your premise that Nikki Haley's husband is in some sort of cahoots with the defense contractors when he's a veteran and he's overseas right now deployed. What is he doing that bothers you so much? I love that you tried to tie $2 trillion being missing from the government as it happened in one day before 9/11, like someone's clearing out the coffers because 2 planes are going to hit the World Trade Center. You don't think I'm aware that stock prices change and people divest and there's bulls and there's bears in the market? You don't think that people dump their stock all the time? Do you think there's not fortuitous bounces in the stock market where people have become billionaires simply by one dump or one invest or one divest? Dude, what you're doing is disingenuous. So you be honest. Stop saying partial truth just to go ahead and sell your narrative or come on the show and plead your case. That's not what I said, dummy. It's exactly what you said, fuckface. It's exactly what you said. You just said that 2 trillion. You know what? I'll pull it up for you. Shit, man. This is what's great about the internet. I haven't had one of these in a while. I've missed doing this shit. Here you go. Let it load. I got you on candid camera, brother, because everything you've said will be used against you. Haley runs a defense company via her husband, like Cheney. She was given a board seat with Boeing after giving government favors and leaving office. She's the military industrial complex RFK has warned us about. Cheney, Halliburton, no bid contracts for Iraq infrastructure, and $2 trillion missing the day before 9/11 from the Pentagon. What now, fuckhead? I mean, you're going to call me a dummy? How dumb am I? I'm just reciting what you said. It's a quote. So if I'm a dummy, you're a twat waffle. That's what you said. Oh, don't tell me what I didn't say. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Why don't you stop going ahead and doing what people do, which is trying to sell your narrative? Like there's some sort of giant secret plot that you're aware of that the government, which can't even shake its own hand, a government which can't even get separation checks from the military and charge taxes on medical disability payments for 27 years, and taxed me, taxed Mike, taxed everybody, and then all of a sudden gives us a big fat check back and says, hey, guess what? We're sorry. We taxed you for 27 years on your medical severance when it's a non-taxable entity. This government couldn't find its ass with two hands and a flashlight, and you think they're going to pull off a giant $2 trillion conspiracy? Mike, please educate this fool.
The government is literally the worst at frickin' everything. And this is like, we always go back to stop giving the government so much credit. If you think that they can actually pull this crap off, there is so much red tape, so many different approvals. Because we'll do it this way. Even to get transportation, that it'll go from, we'll just say the transportation budget, we'll just say for DNI. If someone else wants to use that, then that comes out of their budget. And if they go with a different office, they'll pull it out of 3 or 4 different budgets just to pay for that, even though the money was already paid for through the transportation budget. So it's now going to come out of 4 or 5 different budgets. And stuff's just to keep funneling through, and money's going to keep getting funneled around. It is so complicated to get money in and see where it goes. Like, it is not possible to launder that much. And you think that they're actually going to be able to figure it out. They don't. It's hard enough for them to find actual money launderers and actually figure out where all the money's going through all the shell companies, setting all that stuff up. And then you think the government's actually going to run the shell company to where someone isn't going to find out about it and isn't going to blast it all over the internet exactly what they found. If the government was really that good, somebody would have found it by now and then blasted it everywhere for everyone to see of, this is the companies, this is how much money's been funneled through it, and this is exactly where it went. Guarantee you there's people out there where they could find that in a heartbeat. That's because it's not happening. Like, they're not that good.
I think this guy thinks that it's like taking $20 from grandma's end table and somehow, this is $2 trillion, dude. And it's not $2 trillion one day before 9/11. It's over decades. We have lost an exuberant amount of money through defense spending, and it's wasteful spending. I mean, do you know how many billions of dollars we have right now in appropriations that has been there for 30 years, and we're paying on contracts for defense systems we will never see? Yep. I just don't think, and you can try to insult me. All you're doing is making yourself look stupid. Not only that, but you're a fucking pussy because you won't call. And everybody knows you're a pussy. All you got to do is put your voice on the phone. You won't do it. Why? Because I'll fucking eat you for dinner. And it's just, and you can try to troll. That's fine. And you can say triggered, but dude, I'm not triggered. I'm embarrassing you. And so what you're like leftists, your job is now is to project and try to save face. But you already look stupid because you went to petulant insults and you can't back anything. And then you go, hey, you want to know what my source is? Vivek Ramaswamy. He's my source. First of all, you didn't even know who the fuck he was less than a year ago. And second, he wasn't even involved. The guy didn't vote up until 2 years ago, and he's your source for something that happened in 2001? What was he? Fucking 12? What was he? What was he shining shoes as a Punjab in India? What are you talking about, man? Go listen to this podcast. This is a great podcast. This podcast taught me everything I know. Don't listen to this podcast. Don't listen to any podcast. Do your own research, which you don't have any, because you're just telling me, go listen to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has 1,900 episodes. Which one would you like me to listen to? Go listen to PPD. Give me a break, bro. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm surprised you have an Israeli flag on your avatar. Does it say something derogatory? You're spinning my words and you know it. I'm spinning your words. See, you're the victim now. Am I also a sexist and a transphobe? Jeez, dude, you sound like a leftist. You're spinning my words. They're your words. I can't spin them anyway. But you won't call in, so you can't set the record straight. All right, troll. Dude, dime a dozen. Dime a dozen. So easy. Nikki Haley, folks, not happy with what she said. I think she said something stupid. I don't think her husband is evil. I think he's serving his deployment. He's a veteran. Most conservatives like veterans. Another reason why you sound like a leftist. Try a Republican veteran, bro. What was your MOS? What branch? Were you Air Force? You sound Air Force. Mike, let's take bets. Was he Chair Force?
Yeah, I'm getting like a National Guard vibe.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting a reserve. Like, went to the recruiter, found out that he still had to go to boot camp, but he wasn't guaranteed stateside, so he went reserves. Sounds National Guard? Okay. No, I'm going to do one better. Air National Guard. Let's find out. Let's see if he answers. Michael, where did you serve? Which branch? I was in the Salvation Army. I was a Bravo Zulu AR-15.
I stood on the corner
in
at Christmas
Ding
time
Dang.
and rang a bell.
Coast Guard after 9/11. Yeah, that was safe.
That was going to be my guess. I should have said
You mean
Lots
the
of
Homeland
terrorists.
Security?
Yeah, lots of terrorists. Yep, you mean not the Department of Defense?
What's
You mean not a military branch? The Coast Guard? We're on the SEAL. We're on the flags. No, you're not. You are, but nobody considers you really the military. You're a job that the Navy doesn't want to do. I'm just letting you know. It's no offense.
That being
Coast
said,
Guard.
the Coast Guard does do some amazing things. They do save a lot of people.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm not going to blow
come
sunshine up this guy's ass. Come on, give me a fucking break. I mean, I was downrange at the Coast Guard. I was down the Flim Flam River in Ding Dang. Give me a break. You're in fucking Coast Guard. It's not that you know, dude. So you got to deal with a couple skiffs of the guys with a couple AKs. As you have a 50 fucking cal, and you can call in a barrage from multiple facets to cover your asses. How many? All right, let me just ask you this: how many Coast Guard sinkings have there been in the last 50 years? How many foreign vessels have sank any Coast Guard ship? How many deaths in the Coast Guard have happened from any foreign government or military unit, pirates, anything else? Please let me know. Cartel, drug users. Tell me, how many Coast Guardsmen do we lose a year annually?
I can tell you that there was one during the Battle of Iwo Jima because the Navy left him on the beach with the Marines and he ended up getting killed. That's the only one.
Iwo Jima? Yep. How far back are we going to go? I
think Kevin Costner died trying to save Ashton Kutcher.
You know what? He did. Yes, that's true. Yes, Ashton Kutcher killed Kevin Costner. That's right. And then he drank his own pee in that movie. No, wait, that was Waterworld. That was another. He goes, nice, not a military branch, lots of laughs, doing counterterrorism patrols in the South. South where? What counterterrorism patrols? What South? What? South is a big place.
Counter narcotics?
Maybe
he was playing ping pong and Ding Dang.
Narco terrorists? What were you going against the Cali cartel? What South are you? What South are we talking about? Isn't South where the Penguins are from? Were you doing counter penguin terrorism?
They might be taller than you.
Ooh, that wasn't nice. Did you hear what she said to you, Michael? She could have said you were in the Coast Guard. That would have been worse.
She's probably not wrong though.
Let's put this to bed. Michael, you're a dick. Okay, but you served your Coast Guard. We're just busting your balls. This is inter-service rivalry. We understand how deadly and dangerous it is, even in the Coast Guard. Those cutters get tossed around all the time in the North Atlantic. Counter drug ops is not a fucking safe thing to do. And if you're running counterterrorism patrols, I'd like to know why and where, because that would you just openly admitted something that the United States government doesn't want to get out, is that you're running oceanside terrorist insertion on American soil. I'd like to know where that's happening and what coastal waters, considering 3,300 miles of southern coastline. How many ships do you think the Coast Guard has? I have questions. I have questions. And if you seem like you're kind of full of shit on this, I wonder about the rest of the things that you've said. It kind of makes me question your credibility. Okay. But hey, thanks for going in the Coast Guard. Okay, I appreciate you. That orange is a beautiful color, and that blue, it's very sexy. And
just like the navy blue. So when you
make the Navy look straight, there's something wrong with you. When you make the Navy look straight, there's a problem. Listen, I'm Navy, I get it, but you know what? The only people we get to make fun of in the Navy are Coast Guard and Air Force. So I'm gonna take advantage.
I thought you'd make fun of Marines too.
We don't. Why? They work for us. They work for us. Why would we make fun of them? They're Department of Navy. Right,
Listen,
Mike?
You Uber, you need to calm yourself down or I'm not paying. You're not getting 5 stars when you drop us off.
Dude. Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah. Wonder if Michael left. I think Michael left. All right, Michael, listen, I respect your service in the Coast Guard, so.
The Puddle Pirates
Bravo
have
Zulu.
exited.
Bravo Zulu, shipmate. Makes you I thought you did government procurement. What was your MOS? Were you a clerk?
Oh, there he is.
Were you a yeoman?
No.
Oh, here he goes. DHS, the 5th branch of the military. Same veteran benefits as all. Okay, if you have to justify that you're a part of the military, then you're not a part of the military. See, that's what I love about Coast Guards people. Yes, you guys are accepted because you guys like Space Force, right? We just humor you. we just humor. How many wars have the Coast Guard fought in? You showed your true colors, bro. Yes, I've shown you and lied to your listeners about your viewer comments. What, dude? I just read your comments. Mike, you're done. You're done. You're just shut the fuck up. Somebody ban him, please. I can't stand the trolls like this. I can't. You won't even have the balls to call in. This is why you joined the Coast Guard. So you can't even call into the show. Next topic. Ignoring this yutz, unless anybody else wants to say anything to him. Next topic.
Is this the one you're going to get all fired up about since you're not already?
I'm already fired up, dude. I'm already fired up today. I'm going to be honest with you. This is...
Mikey, how's the fire?
Oh. I mean, it's still going. I can see flames.
Okay.
Mike.
Yo.
Michael Harbin DeRosier has 3 names because he's taking his husband's name. Did you take your husband's maiden name? He said you would know that if you did your research... You bearded, no-legged prick. That's what he just said to you. I think you should.
I have no legs, not him. You got it. Don't combine this. That's not okay. That's not how this works.
Here's Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro had a something to say in regards to Candace Owens. Now here's the deal: is Candace Owens is not removed from controversy. She got into it with Crowder and publicly went after Crowder. Candace Owens likes to consider herself to be edgy. I thought she was great when she wasn't with the Daily Wire. I've questioned her overall quality of her content recently because a lot of it's celebrity based and stuff like that, and getting involved in tit for tat. And I don't care about that shit. I don't want a Tyra Banks show. I want a Candace Owens going for the throat. And honestly, her leaving the Daily Wire probably be the best thing for her career. I think it brings her back to being extremely honest, extremely potent, and direct. But she is kind of staying out of this Palestine and Israel thing and saying pro-America. America first. Like, let's stay out of this. And everyone knows Ben Shapiro has completely lost his marbles over this. He's like, kill them all. And let someone other than Jesus who doesn't exist sort him out, is his thought process, being Jewish. He is 100% believes that Palestine is paying the price that they deserve. And his understanding of what's happening there is pretty poignant and spot on. I completely appreciate that Ben can break down 3,000 years of history and make and plead a case. But the one thing I don't like about Ben Shapiro in this is that he's never been the person that if you disagree with him, he doesn't find value in you. And there are plenty of people who don't agree with him on his position, and some of these people are his friends. And Ben is going after people who disagree with him and acting completely irrational. And so this is what was said about Candace Owens today. Listen to it.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this
is that going through headphones, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not post sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
So, in case you couldn't hear it, pretty simple.
It was a little.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's saying that what she said is reprehensible. That essentially that her take is completely not lucid. That it has no bearing. That he's not in support of what Candace Owens has said, and it has been completely pissed off at what she thinks.
What exactly did she say?
Well, I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
So hang tight, because here it comes. Mike must be doing firewood. Mike, are you back? Mike, are you back?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm back. I couldn't see
Here it
the
is.
fire.
thank you.
Here's Candace's conversation on Tucker. Listen.
But to call somebody, quote, absolutely disgraceful, particularly a coworker, seems like a pretty big step. What? And I really don't know the background here. What is that about?
You know, there isn't much of a background. I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks like
Yes.
it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity on the issue that he was particularly speaking on. And in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree, or
Yeah.
I don't think she's correct, or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed in that, at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say that I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks.
Yes.
I don't think it helps further discussion. And if that was me that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
Has he texted you to apologize or explain or anything?
No, nothing. I haven't heard a single word. It just was sort of something that he said. And you know what? Ben and I have many disagreements, so I don't think that that's particularly something that's interesting. We disagreed on the COVID vaccine. We disagreed on Ukraine and Russia. He has taken virtually every stance that has been the opposite of mine on every issue over the last 5 years. So I don't think that that's particularly
On the COVID
remarkable.
vaccine. Really, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, he was pro the COVID vaccine. I was anti the vaccine. You know, we were all idiots for not getting the vaccine. So that's totally fine. I am totally open to people having a difference in opinion.
Right.
I would hope that amongst colleagues that it would always be a civil disagreement. And I would never in a private event stand on a table and talk badly about Ben.
It's
I
just
would
a little
say
weird. It's a little weird. So he was on the left on those three biggest issues of our time, is what you're saying?
he has converted his opinions. He's accepted responsibility. He said, I was wrong about the vaccine.
Oh, good. Good
he is, obviously pro pharma. His mom's a doctor. And I say to people, I'm very aware of my perspectives on big pharma, and I talk about it on my show openly. And I think that that's a tremendous credit to the Daily Wire that they allow a difference of opinions. But I would, as I said, hope that it would remain respectful and that you wouldn't throw your colleagues under a bus, so to speak.
I think that's fair. And just for clarity, because I really don't know, is he your boss?
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about Ben's involvement. He's not the CEO of the Daily Wire. He is not making the day decisions of the Daily Wire. And I do want to make it very clear because people are like, how could you possibly stay at Daily Wire after this? I have a very good relationship with the co-CEOs of the Daily Wire. Especially right now, the acting CEO is Caleb Robinson. He's one of
there are a lot of people
at hard to be where he's at. We have a lot in
there are a lot of people in America.
And so people don't get to see that, which is unfortunate. Ben lives in Florida. He's not a part of the day-to-day movement of the Daily Wire. The rest of the hosts have their shows situated in Nashville. So we see each other every day. We talk. There's great camaraderie. And there's actually more agreement. There's actually a lot of people that are, as I describe myself, just pro-America first. And I think I've been that way consistently throughout my political career.
People are saying Candace must have had coffee. She always talks that fast. You just maybe haven't listened to Candace Owens. She talks at 100 miles an hour.
Go ahead, Mike. I know you were saying before that she was saying that she wants the ceasefire. Do we have what she actually said?
Yes, and I'm going to show that. I'm going to show that to you because some of the comments that she's made, it's not like it's that controversial. They're very pro-America first, but I want you to listen to it because then I'm going to tell you what side I come down on. I want to hear everyone else's opinion. Olivia, I hope you're paying attention because I'm going to hit you on this one. Love you. Listen to this.
You're going, okay, well, can you answer why Jews are so special? Because as white people in this country on university campuses, we are being taught that we are not allowed to have a voice. We have had to endure exactly what you're talking about, BLM. We've endured much worse than you have because it's in the actual textbooks. We are being told that we are systematically racist, that we are born wrong because of the color of our skin. And if we say anything, we'll lose everything. This is the typical experience on white campuses. So this is not whataboutism. This is actually what we have been fighting for years. So it sort of arrived as, I think, for a lot of Americans, a surprise when they're saying, well, now that it's about Israel, which is something that's overseas,
we need to, hand these university professors, we need to do something about this issue. Why weren't we trying to correct course on this issue? Why weren't donors pulling their funding out of these universities? Why weren't these same things being said for these last, I would say, 8 years of rampant BLM, white man can't do anything right, actively being taught in the...
It's interesting that Damon Dog won. I guess there was another Damon Dog out there. So sorry your name was taken, bro. Says, you guys are just racist. Candace is a black queen. It's interesting that you say that because Mike and I were laughing at this, is that, well, Daily Wire can't fire her because she's black and she's a woman. So she's secure. It always baffles me when you disagree with anyone.
And now it's race.
It's race, and it's that, you know what? I'm a sexist too. Don't forget that. Not just a racist.
It's true.
Yeah.
Mushrooms. So there are people that are asking that question now. What I have said is that explicit calls for genocide, which was stunning to me to see that in Congress, are completely wrong. It is frankly crazy. I have not weighed in on the IDF's response in the same way that I have consistently said through every war, Ukraine and Russia, I don't want to be involved. I have said I don't want to be involved in Israel and Palestine, all these conflicts. My consistency seems to offend people, right? But I haven't made a single tweet or a single comment on IDF's response in Palestine. I haven't said a single thing about that. I have said it is always sad when a child dies. And the lack of humanity that I have seen from both sides has been very troubling for me. But to say that I have to weigh in and suddenly wave an Israeli flag and say things that, because you decide that you get to use my platform because it's personal to you, how is that fair to people? How is that fair? And then to go a step further and to suggest that it might be anti-Semitic, which is basically silence is violence, as a leftist tactic, to me feels very extreme.
This is not about a geographical, geopolitical dispute between Israel and Palestine. This is about an ideological mission to rid the world of Israel and the Jews. That's what I think people misunderstand.
Yeah, well, Jews live very comfortably in the United States of America, so they're not going to be, obviously Jews
lived comfortably in Germany before Germany too. They did. Doctors, lawyers,
I really struggle when people start using, things that have happened in the past that are abhorrent, like slavery, to say that, like, if this doesn't happen, then slavery is going to be back, or if this doesn't happen, then it's going to be the Holocaust too. I think there's a lot more meaningful chatter and discussion that we can have. We don't have to resort to that kind of,
History repeats itself if you forget it. You have to be conscious, and Jews especially. Unfortunately, I'm a grandchild of all four of my grandparents are Holocaust survivors.
So what do you make of the Holocaust survivors and the Jewish people in New York City that are protesting on behalf of Palestine? That's a great question.
I think that there's a very strange, bizarre, it's the same people that you would condemn as the people of the white people who bowed down to BLM protesters, who hate themselves and feel a certain sense of guilt. They feel a certain sense of, I think a lot of the ideologies on the woke left, to the extent that things are good and prosperous and virtuous, they condemn as bad. And the things that are broken, morally and depraved, they see as good. This is the lens by which the far left views things. And I think these Jews that happen to be politically far left and maybe are not that connected to their Judaism or are culturally Jewish, but don't have a strong Jewish upbringing. Not to say that politics and being a Jew go hand in hand with the same political identity. But my point is, just like the white people who in mass were bowing down and feeling guilty about themselves simply for being white, or people who feel guilty for being successful, or the anti-capitalists who say anyone who has something is necessarily bad. Some people buy into that sort of masochism of hating themselves to gain favor with people who want their destruction. It's really sick.
So would you say that in order to be a Christian, a Catholic, you have to support the Vatican? Like, you can't be a Jewish person that doesn't support the state of Israel. Is that what you're implying? Yeah, well, because I have Jewish friends that are pro-Israel, and I have Jewish friends that say that they just do not support Zionism at all, and that they think that the creation of the Israel state is something that is political and has nothing to do with actually the Jewish faith at all. And so I listen to both of those sides. I try to hear both of those voices, and I don't think having a different perspective makes any person less Jewish. And I think it's been problematic to hear, and this is not you, this isn't a criticism towards you, when they say, well, to even have that perspective makes you not Jewish, because it's so reminiscent for me of me saying I'm a black conservative, and they say, even to be a black Republican, it's
Of course.
So It's interesting because there's so much I agree with her on, but oh yeah, this is interesting. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna pass it along to either one of you to speak on it and decide a little bit more on what my thought process is on it. So, Liv, your take on this whole thing between Shapiro and Owens, and it would be like Mike and I having a disagreement on the show, or you and I having a disagreement on the show. That's different when we're waxing it out here in front of everybody. But if I was to, do some sort of event or whatever, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you guys there with Mike? I mean, he's so reprehensible and he's just such a douchebag, and blah blah. And then you hear that, and then it creates this drama. What type of relationship must they have where you can't pick up the phone and say, Ben, I heard this shit. What the fuck, dude? Why do you? What's your take on this? What were you doing? Did you have too many? Did you mazel tov a little too much, or what, buddy? Go ahead.
I think the relationship must have been strained before this, if that's how they're going to act. I think Ben's wrong on this side. For him to say she's disgraceful and do it in a public setting like that and talk about her like that because she hasn't spoken out against Palestine and because she hasn't spoken in support of Israel, I think he's wrong. We are in America. This is free speech. She has her own channel for a reason. And it's not because she's a Ben Shapiro clone. She has her right to say whatever she wants. And I didn't hear anything that was disrespectful in that clip of her. She said nothing against Israel, said nothing against Palestine. I don't see why he's so up in arms, unless he's just pissed at anyone that isn't pro-Israel. I understand. I understand you're Jewish, and I understand it's personal for you. He probably even has relatives that live in Israel. But it doesn't mean that you got to call names and be rude just because someone doesn't believe in the exact same things you do and isn't willing to speak out publicly about it. That's what the left does, not the right. And if I'm not mistaken, he is a conservative. Well, he's not acting very conservative right now.
Well, okay. Mike, your thoughts?
So for this one, and I don't know fully if Candace has kept this way or not. If she's truly been consistent with she just doesn't want any wars, she doesn't want us to get involved in any stuff, then I totally understand that. I get that part. The only part in there that kind of stood out for me was she said both sides are being inhumane, or something to that effect, to where it's okay, yes, I understand that the Israelis have made some mistakes and they've inadvertently killed some civilians, but it's not like they're going out being you know what, I want to hit the school bus today, or you know what, I want to hit that family. They're going after valid targets, and when you put rounds down range, mishaps are going to happen and innocent people are going to die. That's just how it goes. Now, if you want to, with what is currently happening, the Israelis told them you need to leave because this is what's going to go down. If you choose to stay, now that's under your own volition that you're staying in a war zone that's actively going to be targeted. Now, obviously, yes, if they know that civilians are there, they're not going to actively go after them. But if there's a tunnel right underneath you and you were told to leave, sorry, you're in the way. They're going to go after and they're going to get Hamas. A perfect example of that is they went into and I'm going to pronounce the name wrong, the Al-Hafa hospital. They went in and they cleared it. But guess what they did? They brought in fuel, they brought in medications, and they brought in ventilators so the hospital could keep running. They didn't go in and just freaking lay waste to everything. So if you're going to sit there and do a generalized statement oh, they're both been inhumane, no, they have done everything in their power to make sure they're doing things correct. But yes, mishaps are going to happen. Hamas, not even in this conversation. So as a whole, if she's been consistent with what she's been saying and she just doesn't want any wars in America first, no issue with that. Now, my question would be what I just heard from that, is there something else that he's drawing from where she said, no, I want a ceasefire, this needs to stop? Or is he just taking all of this and her not specifically saying like, nope, Israel, do your thing, Hamas needs to die, like without saying all of that? Is there something else? Because like I'm not seeing what he's saying out of it, or what was so inappropriate for what she said.
Well, I think that's the whole ever-loving point is that Ben was taken with, there's cell phones everywhere, right? So his comments were taken where he probably didn't think that it was going to get back to Candace Owens. And to me, that's even more conniving and disreputable than just about anything. Because if you have access to the Daily Wire as much as he does, by the way, the Groypers, of course they see you.
Soy boys.
Groypers. Of course they see you. And no, you haven't doubled my viewership. Maybe if you did, I would be more concerned with what you want. It's always amazing that when you all come on, your level of disrespect, it always predates your silliness. It just doesn't make any sense. If you want someone to, I don't know, be acquiesced to what you want, you might want to try not being disruptive and being assholes. That's all I'm saying. And most of you aren't. Most of you are just doing what you do. But the people who insult my wife or insult me, you're not doing yourself any favors. So, wait, be patient. You'll get on. But anyway, if he would have, what's up? I'm going to bed. Okay, we're going to do a virtual for reasons tonight.
Yes.
Okay, love you. Okay.
I love you, sweet me.
So
sweet dreams.
Love you, babe. So I'll open it up in a second. So when we talk about if he just would have picked up the phone, said, okay, call again, and I'll just shut it down. So we're trying to finish a conversation. We'll open it up in a second. Thanks. No, you guys aren't having fun. You guys don't appreciate who I am. You don't appreciate anyone on this panel. You show no respect to people. Okay, shut it down. If you would probably be treated differently, but you don't. And this is typical because even though I may want to have a conversation with him, the problem has always been the fans of whatever show he has.
It's amazing how they only come on when we mention Israel
or a Jew.
Yeah.
And I'll entertain it, but not with the comments that I've received in the past, and not with the comments. It has nothing to do with being afraid of a conversation. We had a 20-minute conversation beforehand, and then a week before with another one. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the people who don't understand at least civility. Those people bother me.
He's trying.
Yeah. So comes down to this. My opinion on this before we even take a caller is that he could have picked up the phone, said, these are the things that I disagree with. How about we get on a show together? It's not like you can't be on a flight in 3 hours, and we can sit down and we can do this and wax this, in a conversation. If it was Matt Walsh, do you think that Ben Shapiro would have done that to Matt Walsh? If it was Bill Maher, do you think he would have done that to Bill Maher? The question is, why Candace Owens, unless there's already some bone of contention that he has with her and he's trying to vet it in the public space. And he did this with Crowder too. I thought he was horrible with Crowder. Not that Crowder did himself any favors, but I didn't think that needed to be vetted in the court of public opinion, and I don't think it should have. And honestly, I don't fucking care. I don't care that Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens are in a tiff. Just like Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens don't really care if we're in a tiff. I think it's pretty myopic and petulant for them to do this in the open. And I think this just makes conservatives look really foolish. How many times do you see Senkweger going after a fellow Democrat? It just doesn't happen. You don't see it. They stand shoulder to shoulder, and conservatives are just eating themselves apart. And I don't think conservatives know what the fuck they want. I don't know if they want Donald Trump. They don't know if they want DeSantis, Haley. People are so all over the board that there's no consistency because, once again, there's no message coming from the RNC. There's no message coming from a party platform. And you're getting all these different talking heads saying 50,000 different things, and the message is getting muddled. And you're seeing it play out on these shows and these podcasts that people go to for information. And I don't think it's good for the business, but that's just me. All right, we're gonna let Wurs call in because he's decided that he's got something to say.
Can we put a time limit on it? Really?
Yeah. I'll put 10 minutes on it.
Yeah, let's put a time limit. I work today. I work tomorrow.
I don't want.
Are
you going to tell him the truth? Are you going to tell him what you said when he got off air last time?
To be honest, I don't remember.
Oh, I'll tell you. I'll let you know. All right, Wurs, call in.
It wasn't that important to me.
Call in the
remember.
link so we can get you. We can get you on. Don't dial in the phone number. Call in the link. Yeah, no. Wurs isn't great for ratings. He didn't help my ratings at all last time, but we'll pretend that's why. I'm waiting for him to call in. So, it's on. You just use the URL. You know how to use it. It's the one that you couldn't figure out last time, and then you blamed me and you were wrong. So it's gonna be 10 minutes. It's time's ticking now, man. So maybe he already bailed. Maybe he already bailed. I'm looking. All right. You have your chance to call in, dude. But obviously it wasn't that important. Okay. So it comes down to this. I think Ben Shapiro is emotional about this, and I think he has a right to be emotional about this. Mm-hmm. Christians are killed every single day, and you don't see Christians react this way. And that's the truth. Christians are killed all over the world. And Ben is full of hate right now. And to me, I don't know if he would admit that. Do you? Have you heard some of his stuff and seen some? Like, this is the post that's interesting that he made. And I'll show you. And this is where I'm like, dude, he's really pissed off. And he is like broadcasting this whole thing in front of everybody. But this is unnecessary. Here it is. Livia, I'm sorry. I'm going to put this right over you.
That's totally cool.
Says, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit. And she just said, she just quoted the Bible, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you. What's wrong with a Christian
quoting a Bible verse
and promoting peace and promoting something to stop? Listen, I've said this. It's funny that the Groypers are calling in because I think they misconstrued that I want all of a sudden the United States to get involved in a war in Israel. I had no desire for that. In fact, no. I've said one thing. Iran needs to halt. Oh, he's calling in now. We'll get him in, and then we'll reestablish. Let me get you in, Wurs. Whoa, that's big. Can you pull back a little bit? Holy shit, dude. It's been a while, but hold on. Let me get him in here. All right, I hope your audio is working this time.
How's it going, friend?
I can hear you, big guy. What's going on, man? How you been?
I've been doing great. I'm just making sure I'm not double speaking. All right, everything's okay. How's it going, friend?
You sound wonderful. Olivia had something to say about you after the last show. Would you like?
I don't remember.
It's okay. You're gonna laugh. So she goes, and don't take offense because this is probably one of the best compliments I've ever heard her say. She goes, I actually liked him, but I wasn't going to give the prick the satisfaction of telling him that. So I thought that was not bad.
Yeah, I'm a cute and sweet little guy. What can you say, man?
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps saying. So go ahead, give us the rundown, man. What do you think? I mean, you've got an opinion on this, I'm sure.
Oh, what about Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro?
Yeah, is that why you're calling in, or was it something else that
I just missed you. I wanted to talk. Anything that you wanted. We can talk about Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro if you want.
I don't know if we want to more than it was an interesting thing to see right before and Tucker's opinion on it. I don't know. Sure. Let's talk about that. What is your take on that? Besides that, Ben is very, very angry.
I think Candace Owens has been handling it very well, if I'm being honest. Like Candace Owens, she really hit him with the cool, calm, collected when he's been losing his mind, and he does seem like an insanely irrational person because he's a virulent Zionist. You know what I mean? He has been completely irrational. He is insanely invested in this. I think it's really funny because he's been Mr. Identitarian of any sort is bad news for the last 15 years, right? And now Israel gets attacked and suddenly identitarianism is back on the menu.
I think Ben Shapiro has made several mistakes since his inception, and I think he was much better when he was debating singular topics, but when he has tried to become an expert on everything, whether it be Trump or vaccines or overall faith in certain candidates and stuff, he's wound up looking quite like an ass. He does get pretty petulant at times and throws little fits. Do you think that this has everything to do with Palestine and Israel, or do you think there's something kind of deeper seated here? Because this isn't the first time that these two have kind of went tit for tat. Even though she defended him on the Crowder thing, I thought that was a mistake for her to do that, because I thought Shapiro was absolutely out of place when he did to Crowder. What are your thoughts?
I think he's completely like business oriented. You know what I mean? Like, I think that he does have some genuine political beliefs, and I think Zionism is clearly one of those genuine political beliefs. But I think he's got a proven track record of only really caring about what benefits him. I mean, like you remember, like that was actually brought up in the Tucker interview, right? That he was pro-vaccine and stuff like that, right? What is the reason that he was pro-vaccine? It's because Daily Wire made a deal with YouTube to not get demonetized, not get kicked off the platform if they push the vaccine as a good thing, right? So this guy doesn't really have any principles, at least not for us. The only principle that really matters is that America needs to help Israel out, right? And we're seeing that so hardcore. He would never do this for an American. He would never fight this hard for America. But suddenly, Israel, the most special country, is attacked, and now all the stops time to start blowing up people's careers because of this. You know?
Yeah, I don't agree with the blowing up of careers. Mike, Olivia, did you guys have something to say? Because this topic is kind of National Enquirer for me. I think the longer we spend on this, the dumber we all get. Because there's another question I have. Did you guys have anything on this?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope.
Oh, geez. Okay, so I want to hear your take on Vivek Ramaswamy. And I actually generally was thinking about you the other night, and no, it was not about a long shower, as you obviously been thinking about me since you came on and said, I've been thinking about me. What is it? Do you? I want to hear your opinion on this. I'm not even going to set you up. Go. Just want to hear your opinion on him.
I think Vivek, his biggest weakness is that he's not a strong guy. He's like very weak. He's like a wet paper bag. He says a lot of very good things, which I like actually agree with wholeheartedly. But I don't believe in him. Like, I believe that he's part of this sort of like new right that has risen up after Donald Trump. People like Joe Kent, who are claiming to be like true America First patriots. But then you start to see behind the scenes that they refuse to actually take the America First position, the Trump-ian position that Donald Trump was saying in 2016, but are rather more of like an establishment arm that's trying to appeal to the younger voters that are maybe a bit more radical in the conservative party. So I think that he's in it for himself, but he is accurate on the message as to like what I believe in a lot of things.
So I appreciate that. I don't know if that answered the question. Do you see this guy as anti-establishment? He's in there just to kind of stir it up because he's the stand-in and he's the placebo for Trump? Or do you think this guy has any credibility whatsoever? Because he was pro-vaccine. He is pharmaceutical company. We know his ties for education. We know what he's done. He's a fucking CEO who's made quite a bit of money. This guy wasn't even involved in politics in any way, shape, or form. do you smell a lie like a fart in a car here, or do you actually think this guy has some staying power?
No, I think he's garbage. I think he's owned by the establishment and he's weak. So I don't think he's actually anti-establishment, but like, as I was trying to say, like, I think there's like a rise of like establishment, anti-establishment. You know what I mean? Where we're hitting the talking points that we're allowed to hit, but we're not hitting the talking points that we're actually not allowed to hit, like actual things that the establishment doesn't like us to be saying, you know?
All right.
But you know, like him and Chris Christie on the same team, but like different approaches. You know what I mean?
You think Chris Christie has any ideas that are good?
I don't. I think Chris Christie is a testicle, dude. I don't think he's a person. I think he's become one with his mask.
Elephant Titus personified.
Yeah. He's like he's a flesh lump in a waistcoat. You know, this guy isn't even a human, let alone does he have good ideas.
Is there okay? So last question, and then I'm going to give it to you for open mic. Johnson for speaker. I said 2 weeks ago that this guy was all of a sudden he was going to be heralded as the Great White Hope, a religious beacon of light in a world of darkness, as they did, and talk about his religion. And then the first thing he does is throw money at Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and the last thing he did today was go ahead and fund the government with no concessions, and did everything that got the last speaker ousted. I'm sure you weren't very happy with this guy. What are your thoughts on him, and why do Americans continue to allow themselves to be duped by people like a new shiny object and not see through their bullshit?
I mean, the American people didn't really have too much of a say, right? You know, like I don't really believe that democracy or freedom of choice really exists in our country right now. You know, it's all backroom machinations and stuff like that. I don't have like the strongest opinion on him ever. I sort of just see him as another politician, right? And that's the reason I like Trump. He wasn't just another politician. He wasn't, you know, and people forget this. Trump was fighting against the GOP the entire time that he was running in 2016. The GOP was going after him harder than anybody else. He's been trying to make friends with them for unknown fucking reasons. But I don't know.
He does a lot of that, don't you think? Does a lot of that scratch your head shit? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying, but it is what it is. I think he thinks he really needs friends, but it's a den of vipers, you know, and they all hate him. I mean, Ben Shapiro was a never Trumper, right? And
yes, he was.
People forget this.
A lot of people were never Trumpers, and then they pretended that, oh, I did vote for him in 2016 when they didn't. At least I openly admit I didn't, and it's not because I was a never Trumper. I was like, you've got one person who is a war hawk, is progressive, but has surprisingly more conservative leanings than the person she's leaning against. And then you've got Donald Trump, who I didn't know anything about his policies except that he donated a shit ton of money. He said some nice things about Reagan in the 80s, but overall had voted Democrat, was friendly with Bill Clinton, friendly with Hillary Clinton. And I wasn't sure who he was. So I was like, he's a fucking game show host. So I was upset more than anything. I was just like, you know what? I'll vote down ticket. But in 2016, I abstained from voting for the presidential race. And I was in a state which was going to go to Hillary Clinton. So I made a decision. Olivia voted for Trump. 2020, I obviously voted for Trump completely once I got to see a little bit about who he was. But a lot of people said they were, and they weren't. And that's just the way it is. Listen, we've all had long days. You call into the show. You got a lot of followers and a lot of fans. What is it about this show that you decide to call in for? What is it?
Well, I like it. The first time it was just because, you know, you were a very pro-Israel type of guy. I was watching your streams before on stream and it was content. I don't know. I like arguing, but the reason I came back is definitely because I feel like there's actual progress that could be made, or there's like actual like idea exchange that could be made. You know what I mean? Where like we agree on a decent amount of stuff, but perhaps you know, the overall picture is a bit different. And I feel like that's always interesting content.
You know, and that's, I know Olivia and Mike aren't saying a damn word, and it's interesting. Are you guys on a protest thing here? Or what is it?
No, I mean, it's just one of those.
You guys are having a conversation, just listening.
Okay.
Sometimes you got to have the bro moments. and if it's working, it's working.
Don't be jealous, Mike.
It's not that. It's listen, I truly believe I don't care if someone has a different opinion than me. I don't care if somebody is reprehensible, like Shapiro says that turns him off. I think just to bring it back to that is that an exchange of ideas doesn't have to be an agreement. It can be diametrically opposed, but I generally am curious about people, and I'm generally curious about what they think. That's all. So I appreciate you calling in, man. I really do. And I once again, like last time, it's the option is always open. And I did see all your followers tell me to get you on, but I didn't want to interrupt the hosts. So you're here. So there you go.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Anything else you want to? Anything else you want to hit on before you go?
Fucking Israel bombed a couple more hospitals. Thoughts?
You already know where I stand with this. I don't believe the first one was a bombing of a hospital. I believe that that you know what I think. I think that was a rocket coming from JIP, and that's my take on it. I know we disagree on that. In war, things do happen. I think nobody said a gosh darn word when we hit Iraq and we hit places in Afghanistan and hit other countries, 16 other countries we ran proxies on, and people die. I'm not a proponent of war when you've seen it, when you've done it. Nobody wants people to die, and I don't want Palestinians to die. I don't. I have no desire, and I have no desire for Israel or any of its people to die. But they have declared war on Hamas, and unfortunately Hamas is mixed in with civilians, and they've given opportunities and stayed their hand for quite a period of time and said, get the fuck out. And if you decide to stay at that point, I don't know what else to say. I think hospitals, if they're targeting hospitals, there needs to be war crimes brought against them. I completely agree. But until we see that evidence, brother, I just don't know if I agree with you that they're purposely targeting hospitals.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it happened. There was one a week ago, Al Sharif, and then another one like yesterday. But we don't have to talk about it if you're not if you don't think all the information.
I'm willing. No, it's not. I have seen it, but what you're saying is that they're purposely targeting hospitals and indiscriminately, randomly blowing hospitals up. Is that what you're saying, or not?
I think it's like it's a pretty clear ethnic cleansing. That's like the purpose, right? Like, why are you trying to send them to Egypt, right? It's so that they're not in Gaza anymore, right? And now the settlers can come in, take their homes over. Now Jewish people populate the land, right? And I think they're being pretty indiscriminate with the killing. I think even by like any sort of decent, like legitimate military targeting standard, it's fucked. Like the IDF even released a video about the bombing of Al Sharif, and they said, oh, well, they got all these tunnels underneath the hospital that Israel built when we occupied them like 30 years ago. And there was like 3 AK variants and a couple of RPG rounds. And it's like, well, even if I believe this, even if there are, let's say 20 Hamas legitimate targets in this hospital, we killed 1,000 people and babies to take them out.
Okay, so Mike, I know you're going to want to chime in on this. Do you want to go, or do you want me to?
So,
take
and this is where, what is the definition that you need in order to declare something either a headquarters or a valid target? Like, where's your stance on that?
Because there's like differences in response level, I think is a pretty like honest thing. Like, this isn't like in the center of Gaza where there's no shot that anybody can go without getting fucking murdered. Like, they're driving tanks up and down the street, you know? So it's not that the only option is to bomb the place. If it's a severe problem, we have, you know, all this intel telling us that we need to take out this cell that underneath in the tunnels that we built, you know, there's all these Hamas guys. Like, why are we not taking that with troops? Why do we need to cause hundreds of civilian casualties to do it? You know what I mean? Like, I'd say that like it's a legitimate target for a fucking flattening whenever the operations of the hospital are so negatively affected that it's essentially no longer a hospital and more a base. Then we can use broad strokes and wipe them off the map and feel fucking great about it, right? And they said that there was hostages in there.
But that's not the distinction that Hamas is making. But Mike, go ahead. It was your line of questioning. I'll bow out and let you go.
Well, no, and this is where the level of what you're saying to me, like if you're going to bomb that where it's indiscriminate, where thousands of people are dying, that hospital would be leveled rather than there is sections of the hospital that have a tunnel underneath it that they are targeting. In order to get there, they have to use bunker busters or multiple rounds in order to get down to it. That is still a precision strike on something that is not indiscriminate. And if they are going to take a strike like that, they are going to do the calculus of who is down there. Are there any hostages in that specific tunnel or could be affected by the overpressure of the bombs in that tunnel? So it's not like they're just going there like, oh, you know what? There's one or two guys there. They're going to level the whole hospital. Like that's not what they're doing. And even for I always say the name wrong. The hospital they took yesterday, I can't remember the name of it. They actually went in with troops. So they're doing what you're asking for. But
yeah.
Yes.
Al Sharif was wasn't that the previous week or was that the one that was current?
It was last week, but they seized control over it like recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, they bombed that 3 times. They didn't use bunker busters. Like the tunnels are intact.
So, and that's where like right now they're going in with troops. So it's one of those like, yes, you have to bomb certain areas because that's maybe where concentration of fighters were. It's not like they were targeting wards just because there was civilians there. So I just don't, where are you coming from that they're wiping out an entire hospital just because there's people there? Like whatever you're seeing for that, like, yes, I know specific targets on it getting hit, but not like they're wiping it out just because they want to.
I don't know, man. Like it just doesn't seem like maybe I'm not like as military minded as you guys, right? But like the warning shot was essentially 3 missiles sent into the hospital, resulting in hundreds of dead babies. But that's and then a week later they then take it because
where are you getting your
Doctors Without Borders?
Okay, so you saw the same interview that I did. So you're telling me that Doctors Without Borders, in any way, shape, or form, or anyone who works for them, are all apolitical human beings. They don't have a stake in this in any way, shape, or form. You don't believe that Doctors Without Borders has representation from Palestine or people who may be pro-Palestine or pro-Hamas. I'm not saying that everything's disinformation. I'm not that naive, okay? I'm not saying that Israel hasn't killed civilians. I'm not saying that Israel is having a very hard time with making decisions where civilian casualties could be there could be a propensity for civilian casualties. I'm not saying that either. My point is that you can't always take state-run media, or you can't take Al Jazeera, or you can't take Doctors Without Borders. What I want you to do is I want you to take first-hand accounts and military accounts that are provided by the Palestinian government, that are provided by IDF, with sources that are investigating these things on the ground, and then also listen to intelligence from people like myself or Michael or Leroy or other people who you may trust as a source. And I don't know if I'm one of those people. I don't think I am. But if I was, listen to those sources and then make a deductive, logical conclusion. But to say that they're just flattening hospitals at will, I completely disagree with you. Do you believe that it's just an illusion that they're escorting 70,000 people outside of the country? You have to get Hamas out. And when Hamas is rooted, it's like a weed on a flower, bro. You got to start cutting some stems, and you got to be kind of indiscriminate. They are surrounding themselves around civilians. And if they don't do this, they're going to have an exact same thing that happened in 2021, 2017, 2009, 1996, 1999, and 2001. This will continue to happen until Hamas is eradicated from Palestine. And unfortunately, you got 90% of those fucking people supporting Hamas, man. I mean, what do you want them to do? I'm just, forget that they're Jews. Pretend this was America. What would you want us to do?
What if we had like Mexico doing this shit to us?
Yeah,
the thing
Mexico
is, like,
was capable. If they were capable and they were launching rockets for the last 30 years into into California. Well, maybe not California. We don't give a shit about that. But say a state. I'm kidding.
On my oceanfront property in Arizona, make it happen.
Right, but they're randomly and indiscriminately doing this and launching rockets over and over and over and over. We've tried to go ahead and negotiate. They've tried to allow 80,000 work visas or work furloughs to come in and allow these people to have trades, to work, to prosper. They've done what they can. They signed the Abraham Accords. They tried to civilize with the Muslim world. What do you want? I mean, it doesn't matter whether you like Jews or not. What would you expect the United States to do?
Yeah. Let me address the other stuff first. So when it comes to the discernment of information, right? What I've seen when I was referencing Doctors Without Borders, this is an interview of a doctor who was in the hospital when this was going down, right? Runs in all of that. Do I believe that everybody's biased? Certainly I do, but that means everybody's biased, right? And so far, what do I see? I see the tunnels are intact, which were the primary target of this strike, no. But I also see 3 holes in this hospital, Al Sharif, right? So to me, that seems like the effect on target was pretty much zero, right? What we did accomplish through this strike on the hospital was the death of a lot of civilians.
Yes.
When I'm looking at both sides of the evidence, I see the IDF presents me 3 guns, which doesn't really sound like you found a secret cache of an operational, Hamas sect that was so severe that we needed to kill innocent civilians in a hospital. It seems to me like if anybody's lying, it's the IDF post hoc justification of the massive casualties with a couple of guns that they found lying around the street.
It wasn't a couple of guns. You found an entire intel apparatus there and command control communications and computers there, which can run operations for strikes. They found ammunition in an MRI room. They found guns and weapons. They found explosives. I think you're downplaying the situation. It wasn't.
Maybe I just saw something different.
Well, what you see and what was reported are once again 2 different things. I'm not necessarily saying that the optics are good when a hospital gets hit. It's really difficult to sell. We have to hit a hospital. We have to hit a mosque. We have to hit a church. We have to hit a school. Those things are not good. Now, you didn't answer my question, so you're going to answer it the second part. I know you are, because that's why you split it up. But I want to also say this. Fuck this. We're not going to do America anymore. We're not going to do the United States because it's not going to happen. Let's just take something that we do know. Let's take Russia and Ukraine, and I know you're pro-Russia. So Russia has killed civilians. We know this. Hundreds of thousands of civilians. And you may agree or disagree, but how do you split the hairs here, man, when you've got Russia doing this? And for a cause that, whether you agree with or not, I've already told you with Putin's stance and what he's doing, I understand the pressure that NATO's putting on. I understand his economic situations. I understand that it was predominantly Russian area in the Donbass region. I know Mike and I understand a lot of people's take on this, but how can you sit here and say, well, fucking Israel and being indiscriminate with killing civilians when Russia's doing the same thing in Ukraine? And I know Ukraine's done some horrible shit. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I understand. They have provoked Russia as much. My point being is that this is what happens in war. And this is unfortunate. And it happened in Iraq. It happened in Afghanistan. It happened in Vietnam. Fuck, man, it happened in the American Revolution. Innocents were killed. This is war, and it's what it looks like. So now I want you to add to the question. First, tell me, what would we do if Mexico was doing this? And second, how can you sit here and condemn Israel for what Russia's doing?
Okay, one last thing about the people. We need to get them away from Hamas. The Palestinians. Sending them to another country. That's like a victory condition. That is still ethnic cleansing, right? We're getting them the fuck out of here. We're going to resettle. We're going to make it Jewish, right? When it comes to Russia and Ukraine or America and Mexico, I still hold the same opinion that civilian lives and the destruction of a population of a people are a bad thing. If we were fucking around with Mexico, if they didn't give a fuck about us, if they were just wiping people out, and we were still as technologically superior to them as Israel is to Palestine, I would totally think that we should do so in a manner to minimize civilian casualties. But we're not seeing in Israel, and the same goes for Russia, they should be attempting to minimize civilian casualties. But the difference is that this is a war of ethnic cleansing. That is one of the purposes of it, right? Do you think that they're going to let the Palestinians back into Gaza after they fuck off to Egypt? Did they let them into any of the other land that they've seized from them? Right. And I'm not even necessarily like a Palestinian. I'm not even necessarily a Palestinian, like, bleeding hot liberal or anything. I'm a staunch nationalist. If I was an Israeli Jew, I'd be Netanyahu's top guy. You know what I mean? I'd be all over it. I'd say, fuck them. They need to get out of their land. I'm not like sitting here crying for the Native Americans saying that they need to get their land back either. But what we are witnessing is ethnic cleansing. And the only reason they're not being called out for it is because they also control our country, right?
So if we can go back to one thing for the hospitals, because I know when you're saying that they're shelling the hospitals indiscriminately and they're killing a bunch of innocents, like one thing that you need to understand when they're targeting those, if you do the correct target weapon pairing for certain areas or certain rooms, like you can hit one room away from where a civilian's at, and I would still consider that a good target to where you're going to minimize collateral. So there's ways that you can do that with weapons running, like there's a bunch of ways that you can do that. So just because they're hitting a hospital doesn't mean they're going after the civilians or they're going after innocent. Granted, it's also one of those, they can hit one wing of the hospital and then Hamas can come in, shoot a bunch of Palestinians, like, oh, look, the Israelis just killed these. Like, no, they didn't. Now, have mistakes happen? 100%. But that doesn't mean that's always the case. So there's ways that you can do that. And although, as Matt already said, it is extremely difficult, and the planning and preparation that would have to go into all the big ticket, like the hospitals, the mosques, the schools, all of that kind of stuff before they do it, that is a lot of planning. You have people that this is all they do to figure out how to do that in the most effective way possible to get the target, but also to minimize collateral damage. So
they had the option to not do this, but then they did it anyway. Like, because the end result is hundreds of civilian casualties, right? The end result isn't a precision strike. Do we even have any corpses of confirmed Hamas guys that died? I haven't seen any.
Okay, this is where civilian detachment happens and versus military understanding of what weaponry can do. That's not a knock. It's not. You don't understand the technology, and I can't tell you, and neither can he. So there's certain
but they didn't use the technology.
They did
that
use
you're
the
saying
technology.
Would be better.
They did. If they didn't, that entire hospital would be dust. The entire hospital would be dust. And the one that you claim that Israel hit didn't even hit the hospital, but 300 dead. And I also saw the corpses of the children they brought out, which I didn't put on the video, that all had rigor mortis set in. And it was 45 minutes after the supposed strikes happened. If you believe that there is propaganda and there's state-run media and it is intended to deceive, which Israel most assuredly does, and so does Ukraine, because I know this for a fact, you know this for a fact, then Russia does it too, and so does Palestine. For us to pretend that the whole truth is coming out from one source is ridiculous. I understand precision-guided munitions. Michael understands this. You have to understand Michael is not going to sit here and tell you who he is and what he's done. And I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on it, brother. But this guy's 3 months posthumous from being over there and being at ground level, at ground zero. So his understanding and his inner workings of what's happening in those AORs is because he is on the ground working in those AORs. And my understanding of what our military can do is because I was on the ground working in those AORs. So I'm not saying that Israel, I'm the one, dude, worse, I'm the guy that made the video 3 weeks before all this fucking went down. And I said, Israel is going to kill everyone indiscriminately. And that whole fucking Palestine's going to be, or Gaza's going to be dust. And I openly told people that because Israel does not fuck around when it comes to this. And when you are surrounded by 40 other Arab nations and you are a sliver in an entire area where other countries believe that your holy ground is where Mecca and the end of times will take place, you're at a disadvantage, and they don't have the luxury to be soft, yet they do. And you may not agree with that, but I don't believe that Israel is this fucking killing machine that you believe they are. And I think a lot of it is stemmed from your dislike for Jews, not hatred. I think you don't like Jews. I think you've made that perfectly clear and believe that they have ulterior motives. They don't respect your God. They don't respect your religion, and they don't respect you. Those are the comments you've made on this show. You believe that, if I'm mistaken, that Jews don't respect Christians and hate Jesus. If that's the case, could that possibly be skewing your overall interpretation of what's taking place just a little bit, just a modicum? Is it possible?
I mean, yeah, totally. Like, everyone's biased. I'm definitely biased against Israel. And I'm not afraid of saying it. I would like to think that I do apply the same standard of belief to anything that's going on in Israel or in Gaza than I do anything else. I know that there's, a lot of lying and stuff like that going on, but I would, sort of ask you the same thing, right? Like, do we think that, like, just believing what the IDF says is and in any way conducive to finding the truth?
No, I can put that's not what I try to do. You asked me last time if I have relationships with anyone other than people in Mossad or any of the contracting groups, and I do. And I try to listen to multiple. All I can do is, I'm going to backpedal a little bit. All I can do is base the way I treat you and listen to you and exchange ideas with you to assume that I'm doing the same thing with others. I would ask for that mantra or that label, is that I'm open-minded to listen to multiple people. Again, people are saying in chat, so because they're small, they deserve to commit genocide. It's not what I said. I said that there was an attack on Israel's soil. There were people that were murdered, civilians, children, women. You may say, I want video of that. I want pictures of that. And I will tell you that when there is proof, it's all said that it's AI. So if you're going to give me that, then I give you the same thing with Palestine and Gaza, is that this is all manufactured and it's all a head game. So either it is factual or it isn't. I believe, in my opinion, that if someone attacked the United States, that we would respond exactly as Israel is doing. And I don't know if we would have. We didn't give a stay to Iraqis. We didn't allow Iraqis 3 weeks to get out. We didn't allow them 72 hours notice. We didn't allow humanitarian aid to go into Iraq. Are you fucking kidding me? They didn't have power.
Well, then can we imagine the alternative perspective for a moment, sure. Right? Because I feel like the grander narrative understanding here is, well, I guess you reject their idea of like them as like native inhabitants. All right. So for the last 2,000 years, Palestinians have been there. Can we accept?
No, I don't.
2 Palestinians.
No,
we don't. Jews have always been there.
No. Sorry, I got an early morning.
You got an early morning.
Enjoyed the talk. You guys have a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
We'll see you.
Thanks, man. All right, I'll see you later, Mike. Damn it, Wurs. Here's the deal. Remember we did this last time. time. So here's what we need to do.
Everyone left.
It's not that. It's that. It's not you. Olivia has to take. A lot of people are saying Olivia's dead. She's not dead. She's taking care of my daughter. So we have a family. We obviously do the show in the nighttime, and we got to take care of our family, and they're always priority, whether it's stoking the fire or someone skins their knee. She does her job, and she does it well. So she bowed out. Mike has to get on the road, and he's got a hockey tournament, and he's got to go down to Florida, and he's going to be gone for a week and a half. I want to continue this conversation. And like last time, we stopped in a spot where we were finally getting good because I really want to dive into that conversation. We have to pick it up where we left off, because last time we got to this point where we really started to exchange some really interesting ideas, and then we had to stop. Can we set a time where you can come on and we can dedicate an hour and a half to this and actually dive into some of these topics, because I think it's worth having for sure.
Yeah. Do you have an email or something? Maybe we can do that.
I do. You can hit me up at owner@don'tunfriendme.com. And you can go to my website, thedumbshow.com, and you can just fill out the contact right there. You can just fill out the contact, and it'll send you, and I'll send it to you right back. My alarm's going off in my house because Mike just left the door. and I've got a full system because I had
All right,
surprisingly.
yeah, we'll do a proper talk.
Let's do it. And I you know what? There's one thing I will just say. I want to concede something. As far as religion, there's no doubt in my mind you understand Christianity and Judaism probably better than I do. So I want to defer to that anything we talk about with religion, you're going to hold probably the end all be all on that, at least until I research. So I trust you in that. When we talk about the Middle East and we talk about geographical claims on the land, and we can even talk some biblical references, I have a fairly good understanding about that area, and I don't want you to defer to me, but I want you to at least give me some chances to have a conversation with you, because I think people are looking at 2,000 years, and if you really want to look at this, you got to look 3,000 years. And if you want to look at this, you have to look at the Romans, and you have to look at other influences that have been in Palestine, and that it wasn't Palestine, and where it was 70 years ago versus where it was 300 years ago, where it was 2,000 years ago, and the Jews claim to this. That's the conversation I want to have with you, and I just want you to know. But if it's going to get religious, I'm going to defer to you on a lot of that stuff, because even though I dabble, I think you know more about it than I do, and I can concede that point. So you're going to have to help me along if there's something I'm missing.
It doesn't have to be like a religious thing or a big, anything like that. I'm a reasonable guy. All right, I'll hit you up on email, and then we'll redo it. All right.
I appreciate our conversations. I'll still maintain that, man. Thanks for calling in.
Always. It's content. All right, very fun. Thank you.
See ya. All right, buddy. Well, that's the second one. That's part two. He's a good dude in the sense that the things that I've no. I love people that research more. That's not what I said. See, if you can't admit when somebody might have a deeper understanding, and you can't show deference to somebody, then you don't deserve to be in the conversation. That's ridiculous. I can't stand people who do that. Jack Smith, I think is the name. You research more. No, dude. Because I know one thing. I know Wurs has never been to Israel. I have. I don't even know if he's broken bread with Jews. I have. I don't know if he knows anyone in his family who has anyone with Jewish beliefs or Jewish descent, Jewish blood. I do. And to say that I haven't read the Torah, I have. So that doesn't make me an ignoramus. It is that he understands certain things that has lent him credence to filter why the Jewish religion and the beliefs of the Jewish people is antithetical to Christianity and his own beliefs, which I don't hold. I don't have that relationship as he does. So therefore, I can recognize him as an expert in that topic and defer to him and his opinion. That doesn't mean I should research more, because you can't research belief. You can't research ideology. That's not the way this works. Those are experiential things. So where my expertise lies is in Middle Eastern geopolitics, world history, and a perspective of hearing from Arabs and Jews with how Israel is perceived in the Middle East from multifaceted sects, from a theological standpoint, from an economic standpoint, and even an existential standpoint, if you even want to derive into that. My expertise is on weapon systems. My expertise is on military. My expertise is on terrorist groups. And I certainly don't believe Wurs would try to challenge me on that. And he can't research more to understand those things, because that is a lifetime of knowledge that I have accumulated those thoughts and those conclusions. Just like he's a younger guy, but I will respect that he has put in the work to come to his conclusions. That research doesn't fix that. That's a lazy person's excuse to say research more. Because I also know you asked me what what's your understanding of the Jewish religion? And that has nothing to do with this conversation, because people who sit there and say that this isn't a geographical conflict and it's just a spiritual one and a theological one are just as naive as those who say it isn't a theological one and it's just a geographical one. Both can be true. And in this case, it is. It behooves Israel to remove Gaza and remove the threat, but also can reclaim the land that they were excavated from and forced to flee from at the same time. For anyone who thinks that there's not a mutual benefit to that platform is horribly naive. And on the other hand, if anyone sits here and says Israel has to defend itself because Hamas could take over Israel, is a fucking moron. But for those who sit there and say that Hamas is not an existential threat to the sovereignty of Israel and they have a right to defend themselves, is also a moron. So those are my points. And it's respect, whether I agree with Wurs or not. But, I'll tell you one thing. Wurs has never demonstrated anti-Semitism per se. He has demonstrated an opinion. And even though he may have been disrespectful to my wife in chat, since he's been on, he's been respectful. And he's been respectful to me. And he may make his subtle, comments underneath his breath. And if he thinks that I don't understand what those are, that I'm too stupid to understand, that he might be poking fun or ribbing or whatever, that's just his character. And I don't take that personal. I think we have to do a better job of assuming that somebody, because they may not be Lord in exactly what you're talking about, that they don't have an opinion that matters. I've just learned that everyone has a right to say what they want, and everyone doesn't necessarily deserve to be heard. I always try to ensure that people are heard because it's something that I want for myself. I want to be heard by people. I want people to give me a chance to give my opinions. So therefore, I try to reciprocate. So that's my point. I appreciate the phone call. No. See, Jack, that's the difference, is you believe there's a fence. And you believe that anybody who's open-minded is riding the fence, and I believe that makes you an ignoramus. So, Jack, you're more than welcome. I noticed how you didn't call in. People like you very seldom do. You see things as black and white, and you believe there is no gray. There is a lot more than right and wrong. There is a lot more than love and hate. There is a lot more than rich and poor. There is a middle. And just because you're myopic in your thought process doesn't make you anything less than ignorant. So you want to come on and have that conversation with me, I'd be more than happy. But you're a dime a dozen, bro. You're the guy that sits from afar and snipes from afar, but doesn't have the real sack to come on in and pony up. So if you want to, you can come on. I don't think you give a shit about Palestine. I don't think you give a shit about Jews. I think you care about whatever the topic is and discrediting others from having an opinion. You're really nothing to me, man. If you were, you'd call in. Yeah, you're with Christ or not, bro. Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than that. But you're not interested in hearing that. You're not interested in hearing you believe because you're on a specific path in your journey that it's more righteous because it's you. Once again, it's myopic. It's narcissism at its finest. I understand that people's journeys with Christ can be turbulent and trepidatious. Usually is followed by doubt and there's not a self-efficacy that's created with just snapping your fingers and saying, I believe in the Lord. I believe everybody's path is different. For you to assume that you're either with God or against him is a horribly naive belief. And I think, unfortunately, that's your stage in life. You're at a place with unequivocal belief and love for God. I think there's a lot of people who've seen more than you, done more than you, had things done to them that maybe makes them challenge the word of God. Maybe not despise God, maybe not, swear their life or fealty to the Lord, but they believe. But maybe their path is different than yours. It's horribly naive for you to sit here and say you're either with Christ or you're not. That's not true. And the funny thing is, if you've read anything about Jesus and you've read the Bible, you would know that that's not the way God perceives man, is that you're either with me or not. There is a time and place that you'll have to account for your indiscretions and account for your sins and the challenges or the disbelief that you may have. But that's what this mortal coil is about. These trials and tribulations that we're living through now either are going to create resounding faith or a lack thereof. And I think that's what we atone for. For you to say you're either with me or not, that doesn't sound like God. That sounds like Lucifer. So maybe you're, I don't know, working on the other side. Maybe you're a false prophet. Maybe your belief is singular and it doesn't have a multifaceted approach that allows others to find God on their own course. That sounds like Satan. That doesn't sound like God. Oh, Jack, you laugh because you don't have a retort. You're incapable of processing what I'm saying because you're a single level thinker. And unfortunately, that's more common than you think the rarity that you are. You're a pretty common person. I never thought I would say this, but Wurs has more complexity than you do. He's a more open-minded thinker than you. And that's interesting because when we first met Wurs, everyone, including myself, thought he was just an anti-Semite who hated Jews. And he's wound up being a very open-minded and deliberate person, whether it's for clicks or not, or whether he's placating or not, it comes across as somewhat genuine, and you kind of come across as disingenuous. You should call the show. I think you'd be embarrassed. All right, folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Please do me a favor. If you haven't had a chance, like, share, and subscribe. That would mean a lot. Even Jack, you can come back. See, Jack, when you say literal and you're talking about the only actual opportunity for people to speak with God is on an individual level or through the good book, and you say literally, he said you're either with me or against me, I'd like you to show me that piece of scripture. I'd like to show you, or is that your interpretation of what God said? God literally says you're against or with me. Do you want to add some context with that? Would you like to add some context to that? Or do you just want to go ahead and you can just parse up words all you want from the book. Every word in the English language has been translated into the Old English and the newer, more common used English and Oxford language. You can snip anything you want and have it write anything. You could sit there and say Johnny is the devil. I'm sure, but that doesn't mean it's correct. Do you want to add some context, or do you just want to go ahead and just selectively choose words out of the Bible and use them for your own and your own benefit? I don't know, man. You kind of suck at this. Why not pick up? I've picked up. The phone's right there. The call-in link is right there. What do you mean, why not pick up? What are you talking about? Make it ring. Everyone else didn't have a problem calling in. Wurs didn't have a problem to call in. What are you talking about? The link's right there. Wurs was just on. What do you mean? Pick up. You haven't called. Jack, it's 10:44 on a Wednesday. I'd like to kiss my kids goodnight and go spend some time with my wife. My show's on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 o'clock. You also will be on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If that is more, beneficial that you have an AM phone call after some coffee, I'd like to. I just called 3 times. I don't know what to tell you. The phone's not ringing. Do you think I duck calls? Because that's not what I do. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. Jack, do me a favor. If you'd like to call tomorrow. If you want to call Friday night. We'll be here. I would love to talk to you. I'm not afraid to talk to you. I've been talking to you for the last 20 minutes. But my phone's not ringing, so I don't know what to tell you. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. You can find us tomorrow at 8 a.m. with Matt and Mike in the morning show without Mike. He's on traveling. And I'll be on. I'll come on for a little bit and say hello. And thanks for watching. I want to thank Wurs. I want to thank Jack for having a conversation. I think we just don't understand each other through text. Just don't tell me to research more, because I research more than just about anyone I know. Thanks for watching. Go to thedumbshow.com. Maybe pick up a shirt, a hat, something fun. If you would not mind, God bless. Thanks to all the dummies who were on tonight. I appreciate you. Good night. Maybe. Good night.